What's up? Ghost Fictions is here, and we're back again. This is a story where Issei was the reincarnation of Gojo and Yuji. But before we start, please consider subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. Don't forget to check the description for more informations. Also, this is a translate version, you may find some mistakes, specifically in the character's gender. Issei of course is a male, this time no changes in the gender. Well, with that out, let's get into part 1. Daughter, how is it possible for you to do this? It is not possible for you to leave your son aside. Nikki. I'm sorry mom, but we are young and we have better things to do. Beru. Understand Chika, we don't have time to take care of him. Chika. He is not to blame for what you do. Nikki. Mom, this discussion ends here. Tomorrow we will leave him at the orphanage and you should be thankful you didn't abort him. Chika, when she heard that, she approached her daughter and slapped her. Chika. Don't say those words again, and it won't be necessary for me to take care of the child. Tomorrow I will come with a lawyer to sign the papers. Beru. Sounds good. Chika said nothing more and took the child and left the room since he was just born. Later she was watching him through the window. Chika. Don't worry Issei, I will take care of you. Putting on a half smile and then going home to rest because the next day she had a lot of things to do. The next day she went to the office of an old friend to help her and he accepted without asking many questions since he knew her very well. After several days of paperwork everything was finished and the parents left the country as they liked to travel. Chika took the now named Issei to her small house since she didn't have much. She hadn't looked at her daughter for a long time and when she sees her it's only to say those words to her. Chika. Even if I don't have much I will give my best to take care of you Issei. I want you to be a good boy in the future. Going to her room and lay Issei on her bed. The next day she went with Issei to her job being at a market since she sold fruits. While she was walking all the people greeted her as they knew her for a long time and also that she is very kind to everyone. Several people approached her to see the child. Chika. This is my grandson and I will take care of him for a while. And his parents. Chika. They left. I see, don't worry and we will help you with whatever we can if you need anything. Chika. Thank you very much for your words. Slowly everyone started to leave as people were arriving. Several people arrived at their port and smiled to see Issei sleeping very peacefully despite the noise. Chika had no problems with Issei as he was very quiet despite being a baby and she was grateful for that. 4 years went by where Issei was a very happy child and always went with his grandmother to the market to help her a little bit. He always went to the market and greeted everyone there and they happily accepted since they had seen Issei grow up as a child. Issei. Aba-chan, are you okay? Looking at his grandmother who looked tired. Chika. I'm fine son, don't worry, this happens to me all the time. Issei. I'm going to study hard so you don't have to work so hard. Chika. Thank you daughter, but you should keep practicing with the letter R, it's still hard for you. Issei. I did it. Chika just smiled at him and then they both arrived at their station. Issei shouted at the top of his lungs to call people despite being a child, he was very smart for his age. Chika. Issei, don't try too hard and you'll go to school next year. Issei. I'm fine Aba-chan, I know a lot, I won't have any problems. Chika. It's okay, I trust you son. Later on, they both left the place since they had a long way to go to get home. Chika lived in a small town so they all lived apart from each other. Issei. The weather is bad. Chika. Winter is coming soon. You know Issei, you should play with the other children too. Issei. I'm fine so I want to spend more time with you. Chika. I will always be with you son. Issei just gave her a big smile when he heard that. On their way they talked about some things until they arrived at his house when they went to see his grandfather's picture. Issei. Aba-chan, you're still a grandfather. Chika. I do, but now you are here and you have the same name. Issei. Great. Chika. Go take a bath while I make dinner. Issei just nodded and at that he went to his room. Chika went to a drawer and took out some pills and took them. Chika. Dear, I can't go with you yet, I have to take care of our grandson. Going to the kitchen and preparing dinner. A year later Issei went to school, leaving his grandmother alone in the mornings, but when he left, he ran to the market to be with her. When he arrived he would help her a little while she did her homework in her free time. Issei made a lot of effort because he wanted to help his grandmother, the person who cared for him the most. And thanks to that effort he has the first place in his school despite being a child he has a great intelligence. 2 years later Issei was already 7 years old and the only thing he cared about was his grandmother's health because she looked more and more down and that scared him, but she always told him that she was fine. Issei could say no more so he concentrated more on his studies and became interested in medicine to help his grandmother. In the afternoons he went to the market, he didn't have time to make friends, but he didn't care about that. Chika. Issei, you should be with your friends. Issei. They are busy doing their homework. Chika. I see. But you've been studying a lot these days, you should stop, you might get sick. Issei. I'm fine Aba-chan, I have a lot of energy hahaha. Chika. It's okay. Tell me Issei, wouldn't you like to go to the city since you've never been there? Issei. I really like this place, it's very quiet and the people in the town are very nice, and from what I read the people in the city are very noisy. Chika. Maybe so, but it's better to see new places. Issei. That will be in the future. When I grow up I'll take you to many places and you won't have to work so hard. Chika. I'll be waiting for that day, but there's no hurry Oki. Issei just gave her a big smile, and at that she started shouting to call the customers. Chika was proud of Issei because since he was a child, he had been a very cheerful boy. But inside she was sad because she had gone to the doctor and she didn't get good news, and when she knew that she didn't want to tell Issei so he wouldn't worry because if she told him he would feel very bad. At the end of the day they both left for home. Issei. Aba-chan. Chika. Yes, tell me. Issei. You can go to the report card meeting tomorrow. Chika. Of course I will go son. I already told you, don't worry. Issei. I'm glad to hear that. Chika. Besides, I know you're the best of us all. You're very smart and if you keep going like this you'll be able to work in whatever you want. Although that's still years away, for now enjoy your childhood. Issei. Yep. At that they both continued on their way home. 3 years had passed and Issei was 10 years old, during which time he concentrated more on his studies. Also in helping his grandmother with her stall. At that time they were both selling, and Chika was giving a bag of fruit until it fell to the ground. Issei got scared and called whoever it was, and seconds later the owners of the other stalls arrived as they loved grandma very much. One of them called an ambulance, while Issei tried her best to wake her up, but nothing. Minutes later the ambulance arrived and it took a while since they were in a village. When they arrived at the hospital Issei stood outside with another person waiting for the news. Issei calm down, she is in good hands now. Issei. I'm afraid she has something. She's strong, she'll make it, don't worry. Issei. I will try. Taking a seat and waiting for the news the minutes passed, but nothing. The person who went with Issei had to leave since he left his seat open. He just thanked him for everything and kept waiting. Later the doctor came out and saw Issei. Doctor. You can go see her. Issei. What is wrong with her, please tell me. Doctor. She will tell you so she asked me. It is room 201. At that he left from there. Issei just started walking a little fast until he reached his destination, and as he did so he saw his grandmother on the bed. Issei. Aba-chan, how are you? Chika. Son, come closer please. Issei started walking towards her until he did. Then she extended her hand and Issei took it. Chika. Forgive me son. Issei. Why? You haven't done anything wrong to me. Chika. Because I will go with your grandfather. I wanted to see you grow up, but my time is limited. All this time I fought to resist, but I cannot. Issei. Aba-chan, please don't say that, it won't be long yet. I need you. Letting out a tear. Chika. You're a great guy and please promise me you'll accept that offer. Issei. How do you know about that? Chika. Your teacher called me a few days ago to congratulate me on his scholarship to go to the United States because you didn't tell me. Issei. I didn't want to leave you alone so I didn't tell you. Chika. It's for your own good, you're a smart kid and you can get ahead there, don't worry about me anymore. Issei. You gave me everything I needed, how can I not worry about you, you are my family. Chika. Tell me Issei, you hate your parents. Issei. No Aba-chan. Chika. Why? Issei. It's easy Aba-chan, I can't hate someone I don't know. If they didn't love me, why should I love them? Chika. You talk like an adult even though you're just a kid. Issei. I wanted to grow up fast so I could take care of you. Chika. And you did, these years have been the happiest of my life. So promise me you'll go study there. Issei. I promise if you want me to, I'll keep it. Giving her a smile even though she was holding back the urge to cry. Chika just nodded to him. Minutes later she decided to get some sleep. Issei stayed on a couch there and fell asleep too. The doctors didn't say anything since he was her only relative. Issei woke up suddenly as he heard a noise and saw his grandmother and then the machine, and then he noticed that the machine showed that his heart stopped. He noticed that he stood up and opened the door. Issei. I need a doctor, my grandma needs help. Not caring what time it was. Seconds later a doctor arrived with a nurse. And they both went in, but not before the nurse took Issei out of the room. He didn't say anything since he knew he would only be in the way. Then another nurse came in with a machine. Issei was only scared when he noticed that his heart was beating so fast because of how scared he was. Later the doctor opened the door and out came the nurses with a machine, and Issei noticed how the other nurse covered his grandmother's face with the sheet. The doctor got to Issei's level. "Doctor? I'm sorry, child." Issei said nothing and went into the room. The doctor called the nurse and she closed the door. Issei heard the door close and began to cry. "Issei. Why? My Aba-chan. Why you left? I still need you." While holding grandma's hand as it hurt him to lose his only family, he stayed with her until morning came. The doctor arrived and saw Issei with red eyes from crying. Issei said nothing and left the room and walked down the hallway until he looked up and saw everyone he knew. When they saw Issei, they just bowed their heads, and others could not help crying because Chico was always a very positive and cheerful person. A day later everyone was at the cemetery and many people had attended her funeral, and it rained that day. "I'm sorry, Issei, if you need anything tell us." "Yes." Issei. "Thank you, but I will be fine." "But what will you do from now on? Besides, you are just a kid. My house is small but you can stay there." Issei. "Thank you very much for your words, but I promised my grandmother that I would go to study in the United States. They gave me a scholarship. I didn't want to go because I didn't want to leave her alone. I understand and I wish you luck." Giving Issei a hug. Little by little everyone said goodbye to Issei and he stood there alone in front of his grandmother's grave. Issei. "I promise to come back, Aba-chan, and I hope that wherever you are, you will be happy with Aji-san." Leaving some flowers and then going home. When she arrived she went to see the picture of grandfather and then put the picture of her grandmother in front of hers. He walked a little until he got to grandma's room and looked around until on a small table he saw a letter. He walked and took it and read it. "Chika. My son, if you read this, it is because I am now with your grandfather. Don't be picky, eat a lot and grow strong. Take a bath every day and keep warm. Don't stay up late, you need to sleep a lot. And make friends. You don't need many friends. Just a few. The ones you can really trust. Study hard and remember that everyone has strengths and weaknesses. So don't get discouraged if you don't do something well. Respect your teachers and those in the older grades in school. Don't drink alcohol until you are 20. Drinking too much will ruin your health, so drink in moderation. Someday you will fall in love with a girl, so don't fall in love with a bad woman, but I know you will find the one. From now on, you're going to go through a lot of pain and trouble. Trust yourself. Have a dream and have the confidence to make that dream come true. I wish I could stay for much longer and watch you grow up, but my day has come, so be happy and cheer up everyone around you. I love you, my son. Issei." Issei could only cry at what he read, but with a smile as he always said those words to her. Issei. "I will fulfill everything, Aba-chan, don't worry." Putting the letter away and going home to rest since he hadn't been able to sleep very well because of everything that had happened. A few days had passed and Issei accepted the scholarship as he had promised. A few days later, Issei took time to say goodbye to all his acquaintances and they wished him luck as they loved him very much. Later, someone came from abroad to take Issei away. Before leaving, he went to visit his grandmother for the last time. He stood looking at the grave for a long time without saying anything since it was not necessary. Later he got up and left with the person. After a long trip they arrived at their destination. The master took Issei to a residence where there was only a bed, a clothes and a bathroom. Outside is the bathroom and on the second floor is the dining room. "I wish you luck, boy." Issei. "Thank you very much, sir." He just nodded and Issei left and saw the small place and started to take out his things, and then he took a bath and went to sleep because he had a lot of things to do the next day. Months went by where Issei was in a program to learn the language with other students. At the beginning it was hard for him to make friends since he had never done it before. The teacher was surprised at how fast Issei learned and eventually moved him up a level. A year went by and Issei entered the academy. At the beginning it was hard for him because the students spoke very fast, but little by little he learned. Like, "Hey Issei, do you have plans after school?" They were speaking in English. Issei. "I'm going to study tomorrow, there's an exam." Mike. "I'm serious, you're just studying, let's go over there for a while." Issei. "Some other time." Taking the way to his room. He was waiting at the crossroads, but someone ran by and pushed Issei. The car was about to arrive, and the driver saw Issei and tried to stop, but it was too late. The teacher who was around quickly called an ambulance as he approached Issei and noticed that he was still breathing, but it was very little. Issei on the other hand was in a dark place until he heard some voices. He looked to the sides but nothing. Seconds later he heard that voice again and looked around, and when he turned around he saw a white-haired man in front of him with a smile on his face. Issei jumped back in surprise. Issei. "Who are you? I thought it would take you longer to come here." Issei. "Come for what?" The man just gave her a smile and took a step back. My name is Satoru Gojo, nice to meet you, Haidu Issei. Gojo. And the one over there is Yuji Itadori, my former student. Issei turned around and was surprised by his appearance. Yuji. Yo. Nice to meet you. Issei. And what are those marks? Yuji. It's a long story. Gojo. We have time, so we'll tell you what happened. A long time ago, but many years ago. Yuji. Don't you think you are exaggerating by saying that? Gojo. It's more fun that way. Issei for his part only broke out in a bead of sweat from his talk. Yuji. In short, we two fought, and well, during the fight we died. Issei. And why did you fight? Yuji. You see, Issei, I ate a finger by mistake some time ago. Issei. A finger. Yuji. Not just any finger, one of special category, and it belonged to Sukuna, someone very powerful, and well, my mission was to find the 20 fingers and eat them, and at the end I had to die. Issei. Why you had to die? Yuji. Because if I didn't, Sukuna was going to take over my body and start a massacre again. But in the end I didn't control him and he broke free. Gojo. And that's where I come in. I fought him, and well, the fight wasn't that easy. After several hours of fighting we used our best techniques and we died. Yuji. But before I died I managed to be free, and I just said goodbye to my friends, and well, here we are. Issei. And what are you doing here? Gojo. Well, you will be our successor of our skills. Issei was surprised to hear that. Issei. Why me? Gojo. Things happen for a reason, Issei, and this is your destiny. Yuji. Accept it and find a purpose for using this power. Gojo. It can be for good or evil, you will know. Yuji. Hey, don't tell him that. Gojo. The way things are. Issei. I see, well, just like you said, things happen for a reason. Gojo. I like you, kid, hahaha. Issei. Why he wears that in his eyes? Gojo. You'll understand in the future. Well, now let's stop this talk, it's time. Issei. Time for what? Gojo just gave him a smile, and at that he created a small sphere of power and put it on Issei's forehead. He didn't understand why until he felt a lot of pain all over his body and many things came rushing to his head. Minutes later he was breathing very fast as he didn't know what he saw. Gojo. Before you ask, I will tell you. Everything you saw are my powers and memories. But you won't have it easy, you will have to train. I put some seals on you that will eventually be removed because the power is immense. Yuji. My turn. Creating a small black flame and doing the same. Then Issei felt the same pain and lines started to appear all over his body, but then they disappeared. Yuji. You will also have some seals, but remember, Issei, don't let yourself be provoked easily or else anger will take over you and you will kill everyone around you, no matter if it's a friend. Issei was slowly getting up because of so much he saw. Issei. I understand now, I will have more things to do. Gojo. But relax, there's no hurry for that. Live your life as you always have. Yuji. Just like your grandmother said. Issei was about to answer, but noticed how they both started to disappear. Issei. What's wrong with them? Gojo. It's time to say goodbye, we were just waiting for this moment. We already had a lot of fun, now it's your turn. Yuji. I wish you luck, Issei, and remember what I said. Issei just nodded and gave them a smile. Gojo before disappearing took off his blindfold and threw it to Issei. At that they both disappeared. It had been a week since Issei had the accident, and then he woke up. When he opened his eyes he noticed the white hospital room and noticed something on his hand, and when he lifted it, he saw the blindfold on his eyes. He squeezed the blindfold and formed a small smile on his face as he thought it was a dream, but it was real. Issei. I will have to train in the future. Closing his eyes as he still felt tired. A few days later several colleagues went to visit Issei as they heard that he woke up, and when they saw him they were surprised as he had some small white strands and his eyes were a little bluer. But they didn't say anything since they thought it was something from the accident. Days passed until Issei was discharged. Issei decided to return to school where some of his friends greeted him since he had finally returned. Issei just gave them all a smile and went back to study as before, but this time in the afternoon he trained a little bit. Years went by and Issei was already 17 years old, and during those years he had passed all the exams and had the necessary credits to be able to graduate very young, giving him the opportunity to attend a good university. He entered Harvard University at the age of 14 and was one of the youngest to do so. Many were surprised to see Issei there but supported him. He only studied and trained every day in the evenings because he had a lot of things to learn and they were not so easy. At present Issei's hair color turned white and he started to wear the bandage that gave him Gojo on his eyes. The doctor at the university asked him if he was fine and he replied that he was fine, but his eyes became sensitive to light and that's why he wears the blindfold. Lying as Issei could feel everyone around him as if he could see them without difficulty. Several teammates, being some bracken, tried to make jokes to Issei since they thought he didn't see, but they never succeeded since he evaded every attack from them. Issei had planned to study medicine, but eventually changed his mind and decided to study history because he liked to read about the past. Issei, how do you learn so much? I would like to be like you. Issei. The answer is easy. You should study more and stop being drunk every night. That's how you talk to your friend. Issei. I'm serious. You only come to me when you need something. Speaking of which, what do you want? Hey, don't say that. Putting away a notebook he had on the table. Issei didn't say and let out a sigh. Issei. Your parents pay a lot for you to be here, you shouldn't waste your time doing such things. No problem, my family is rich so I can do whatever I want. But you are something else. Issei. Go to the point, I'm busy. Well, if you don't get good grades you get kicked out of here. Issei. And I have good grades, plus now I'm going to graduate soon while you'll be here until you get old. Giving him a mocking smile. The boy was annoyed to hear those words. Hey, don't talk to me like that just because you have that in your eyes. Issei. If you want to hit me, do it, but I warn you it won't go well. The boy didn't say and clenched his fist and wanted to hit Issei, but he stopped him with a finger. Seeing what Issei did, he was shocked by the surprise. Issei. My grandmother was right. It's not easy to make friends. He let out a sigh and removed his hand, causing the boy to fall to the ground. At that he got up and left for his next class. Time passed and Issei was 20 years old at the time. Several wanted to hit Issei since the previous boy had paid them to do it, but none of them succeeded. Everyone came out with a broken bone. They tried to convince the principal to expel him for that, but he didn't believe them since he knew how nice Issei was and he had good grades. Issei was one of the youngest to graduate from college because he had everything he needed. Principal. Today is a special day as several of our students will be leaving here. Give a big round of applause to the seniors. All the parents present began to applaud for their children. At that moment the director started to call each one of them until he arrived at Issei. Several were surprised by how young he was and even more surprised to see that blindfold on his eyes. Principal. Now a few words from the best student of these years, Haidu Issei. He got up from his seat and went to the front to give his speech. Issei. Thank you for those words, Principal. Well, it has been a very difficult year for all of us where most of us study day and night non-stop with no time to go to the bathroom like me. Several people laughed when they heard that. Issei. But it was all worth it in the end. The effort brings its rewards, and one of them is today where we will go out into the world to show who we are. And what will you do now that you are out? Shouted one of the graduates. Issei. Well, yesterday the director called me to give me an offer to go to Japan and teach history to a prestigious academic. I accepted quickly because I'm from there and I haven't been to my hometown for 10 years. But well, leaving that aside, congratulations to all and enjoy your life. Throwing his hat in the air, the other students did too, and after that everyone went their own way. Several girls gave their number to Issei as he had become quite a man. He took them with a smile and then went to his room, packed his things, and was about to leave that day as he wanted to go home. When he arrived at the airport, he waited for a long time for his phone call, and several people looked at him strangely since he was reading a book and had a blindfold on his eyes. An hour later he was called to board the plane, where he went and continued with his reading. Hours later he arrived at his destination and took a cab to go to a city and then took a bus to go to his town since it was a little out of the way. When he arrived he felt the fresh air again. Issei. It had been years since he had felt such fresh air. Deciding to walk through the streets until he saw the store where he used to buy candy as a child, so he decided to go there. When he opened the door the owner was surprised to see him. Issei. Sir, I haven't seen you for years. Excuse me, but I have never seen you. Issei. It's been 10 years, maybe you remember my grandmother Haidu Chika. The man was surprised to hear that name and quickly approached Issei for a closer look. Boy, what happened to you? Now you have hair like that, and what happened to your eyes? Issei. A lot of things happened, but I'm fine. I'm glad. Have a seat. I'll go make some calls, the others will be happy to see you. Issei just nodded and the man quickly left to make the calls. Hours later they were in a restaurant and everyone was asking Issei questions about his change, but he knew what to say since he knew he would be asked those questions. Later Issei was the first to leave as he had something important to do, and after a while of walking, he arrived at his destination with a bouquet of flowers. Issei. Grandma, come back home, sorry for not coming all these years. Placing the flowers on her grave, and Issei took a seat next to her. Issei. I have many things to tell you, some of them will seem crazy but interesting. At that she began to tell everything that had happened to her during her years away. Issei spent a few days in his hometown since it brought back good memories, and after that he decided to leave since classes would start soon for the students. He said goodbye to everyone in town and went to the city, where the first thing he did when he arrived was to go to the principal to get his class schedule. Then he went to the apartment that had been given to him, being one where there were only 2 rooms and a small living room with a kitchen and a bathroom for Issei. That was enough. When she finished unpacking, she left home as she wanted to explore the city and try new foods. A few days later the classes started and the students were going to their classes, and after a few minutes everyone was ready to receive their classes. Except for one classroom, being the 3rd year, where the teacher had not yet arrived and 10 minutes had passed. Some started to talk quietly so as not to disturb the other classes. 5 minutes later the door opened and Issei walked out to everyone as if nothing happened from the door. Issei. Good morning guys. When everyone saw him, an I'm-style sweat beaded on their face because of his attitude and also because he was acting so calm despite the time he arrived. Issei entered the room and was about to say something until someone stood up from his seat, not very happy. Sona. He knows what time it is. Issei. It's not that late yet, just relax. If you get so upset you'll get older. Sona only got more upset when she heard those words. Issei. Well, leaving the games behind, it's time to start the class, and you take a seat. She was going to answer, but she did not want to go on with it. Issei. Well, from now on I will be your history teacher, and I hope we get along well. My name is Haidu Issei. Sensei, how come you are a teacher and you have that blindfold on your eyes? Issei. Things happen, don't make a big deal about it. He looks too young to be a teacher. Issei. I studied hard and didn't waste my time. But well, leaving the meaningless questions aside, it's time to start the class. He took out a book and began to call the roll. At the end he began to give classes where many were surprised because he knew a lot and knew how to explain well. The hours passed and it was time for recess. Issei. Well, you can go. No homework? Issei. I would, but it's the first day and I don't feel like giving it, so bye. Leaving the classroom. The students didn't know what to say because of his attitude. Issei walked through the halls until he was called to the meeting room where all the other teachers would go. Minutes later everyone was there. Principal. Sorry to call you so quickly, but I have an announcement to make. I would like to introduce a new colleague. At that she was called and entered the room. Issei was eating a loaf of bread. Director. You may introduce yourself. She just nodded. Mickey. My name is Haidu Mickey and I will be a science teacher and I hope we get along well. Bowing, the other teachers also introduced themselves until it was Issei's turn. He was just drinking a cup of tea until he noticed the stares of the others. Issei. Well, my name is Haidu Issei, a pleasure sensei. Several were surprised to hear that they had the same last name. Excuse me, but you are family. Issei. As far as I remember I only had one relative and that was my grandmother, but she passed away years ago. So I don't have anyone else. Saying all that while she had a finger on her chin. Mickey. What was your grandmother's name? Issei. Haidu Chika. She is hearing that name was surprised. Mickey. She's my mother. Everyone was shocked when they heard that because they didn't know they were related except Issei, who knew everything. The principal called the other teachers to leave them alone. Issei sat down again and took your cup of tea and took some bread from a bag he had. Mickey. Aren't you surprised to know who I am? You should be shocked to know that I'm your mother. Issei. Why should I be? I barely know her. Mickey. You're not happy. You should be happy to know I'm here and not act like this. Issei. You know, ma'am, a mother is the one who raises her children from birth, not the one who only gives birth to them and then throws them away like garbage. You are just a stranger to me, or rather a work colleague from now on. Mickey. How is that possible if you are still too young to be a teacher? Issei. I had a person who taught me a lot of things, and thanks to her I am who I am now. Mickey. Stop acting so calm. Inside you're very happy to know that I'm here and even happier to know that you have a father and siblings. Issei. I'm happy for you and your family, and remember I'm not your son. You and that man signed some adoption papers, or did you forget? You sure are slow, I know more things than you. Mickey. How dare you talk to me like that, you insolent brat, respect your elders, especially your mother. Issei. Ha 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 ha, why should I respect her? Years ago a man told me to act the way I want and that's what I do. Mickey. How can you be a teacher when you're blind? Issei. That's my problem, you old slut. She is listening as he told her. She stayed in shock. Mickey. How dare you call me that? Issei. I'm just telling the truth. But even my grandmother didn't ask me so many questions. While taking a sip of her tea. Mickey saw that and approached Issei and knocked the tea out of his hands. He just let out a sigh and got up and went to the table and took another one. Mickey. How dare you ignore me? Issei was at the window looking out at the scenery. Issei. What a beautiful day. While drinking some of her tea. Miki seeing that got more annoyed at being ignored. She was going to say something, but the bell only, and Issei was the first to leave the room not taking Miki's notice. Issei thoughts. It's going to be a year of horror, this one having that crazy old woman here, and more knowing that two brats will be here too. Letting out a sigh and going to his next class. Issei was walking around the school until he heard a lot of shouting from the girls. Issei. So early now, what's going on? Going to the window and noticing two boys walking through the crowd. Issei. Those two boys will only bring more trouble here by being that woman's sons. He went to his living room. Hours passed and it was recess time where Issei was outside the school walking until he heard those screams again. It's Riki senpai and Takashi senpai, they are very cute. Issei. But they just got here, how the heck do they know their names? At that I noticed how they both went to the occult club. Issei. It was to be seen. Issei knew that 4 girls in his class were demons since he entered the classroom, he knew it. During the years he spent in the United States he crossed paths with some of them and none of them came out alive. At that point he went home since his day was over and the last thing he wanted was to run into more people. But then he ran into Miki. Issei turned around when he saw her. Miki. Hey. Issei. What's up, sensei? My day is over. Miki. Don't play stupid and accept reality. Issei. Those are the words I should say since you look like a dog without an owner by being so annoying. Miki. Respect your mother. Issei. I'll do that when a pig flies. At that he raised his eyes to the sky to look but nothing. Issei. Fate doesn't want it that way. Miki. You. She didn't finish because her 2 sons arrived. Riki. Mom, what's wrong with you because you look so upset? Takashi. And who is he? They were both twins and they were 17 years old. Miki. This is the person I told you about yesterday. Takashi. So you're our older brother. Riki. You have the nerve to talk to our mother like that. Issei. It would be to your mother, not mine. I'd better go home. Taking a step, but Takashi stood in front of Issei. Takashi. Apologize to her right now. Issei. Why would I have to if that crazy woman came to yell? Riki. Don't call my mother like that or it will be bad for you. Issei. Let's stop playing games, plus you guys get out of there. I'm talking about Ria's Gremory and Sona Citri and their groups. Seconds later the 2 groups came out of there. Asia was already with them, they had met her a long time ago. Ria's. Who are you really? Issei. No one you care about. Now tell your slave to stop bothering, I'm tired and I want to go home. Riki. Who are you calling a damned slave? By this time they had already put up a barrier so as not to attract attention. Issei. Well, excuse me for what I said, what I should have said, slaves. Having a big smile on his face. Both brothers were upset to hear that. Sona. You are getting yourself into a lot of trouble, sensei, by talking like that. Issei. I see. But it doesn't matter, so you'd better go, I'm tired as I said before. Tsubaki. Why are you acting like that? Issei. I've always been like that, what can I tell you? Miki. How long have you known about the supernatural? Issei. Why should I have to tell you? Riki. This is the end of your game. Going against Issei, wanting to hit him, but at that moment Issei appeared behind him. Issei. You are easily led, brat. Riki turned around to hit him but nothing. Everyone else was surprised by his speed. Issei was sitting on a bench over there. Issei. So you won't get that far. Takashi. How did you get there, how did you do all that? Issei. You don't care, and well, you guys, what are you going to do? If you don't control your dogs you won't do well, you know. Rias. I'm not afraid of you. And if you hurt me. Issei. I know your brother Siskin is really out for revenge. I know who that one with the menstrual hair is. Rias got upset when she heard that. Issei. I also know who your sister Citri is, she's the magical girl Levi Tan. Doing the pose that Serafol does. Sona. Who the hell are you? Already a little worried since she knew so much. Issei. Your history teacher with a very good salary. I didn't intend to go back to Japan, but I wanted to visit my grandmother's grave, so I had no choice but to go back. Miki. So if you know about his brothers, why aren't you afraid? They are both mass. Issei. I don't care who they are, mass or gods, I don't care about them. Takashi. You're talking big even though you're only human. Issei. But this human fought back against your clone. So that means a human is stronger than a demon and half dragon. And before you ask how do you know I'm half dragon? It's easy, the lizard is with you. As it is called droid, dear, day. At that the gauntlet manifested. Dreg. My name is Dreg and I'm. Issei. If I know who you are, don't act so important. Kaneko? You don't hide your power, then how are you so strong? Issei. That's Private Nekomata. At that, Kaneko changed her calm face to one of surprise. Kaneko? How do you know that? Issei. I'm a teacher girl. It's my duty to know who my students hang out with. I know many things about you. Looking at everyone with a smile. Issei. But it doesn't matter, I'll go home and you go to class. Starting to walk and passing by the twins. They wanted to do something, but both heiresses just denied. Issei crossed the barrier without any difficulty and went home. At the end of the academy, both groups were at the occult club ready to call their siblings. After several minutes of waiting, both arrived worried because they had said it was an emergency. Sirs X. Riaz, what's up? You said it was an emergency. Sir Awful. So Tan, tell me what happened. Sona. A new teacher came to the academy and he knows everything about us. They were both surprised to hear that. Sirs X. Who is it? At that, Riaz showed a hologram with Issei's picture, but neither of them recognized him. Sir Awful. We have no data on him. Riaz. But he knows everything about us, plus Ricky couldn't hit him when he tried. Sir Awful. So. Greg. You'd better not mess with that person. Sirs X. Why? Greg. If someone talks that confident, it's because he must be strong. And he said it because I acted like that in the past. Sona. So what are we going to do? Sir Awful. You go on with your lives as usual while we investigate this person. Takashi. He is our big brother. Sirs X. And that. Ricky. Things of the past. Besides, we know that he studied in the United States. Sirs X. I'll make some calls, I have acquaintances there. Sir Awful. We are going to solve this and you guys get some rest. Everyone nodded and that both went to the underworld to investigate. The groups decided to go home since it had been a long day. Issei for his part was sitting while looking at the moon. Issei. What a long day, don't you think? Well, he was sitting on someone. Who are you, fucking monster? Issei. It hurts me when you call me like that. You killed all my comrades. Since Issei was sitting on a mountain of renegade demon corpses and only had one alive. Issei. You started it, I only defended myself. Well, you didn't answer my question. You rotten human. Issei. You're giving me a hard time. But if you wish. Breaking one of the demon's arms, making it scream in pain. Let me go. Issei said nothing and held his head until he made it explode from the grip. After that, he stayed a while longer until he decided to leave, but not before destroying everybody. It was a new day and Issei was teaching as usual. Issei. So any questions about all this? Looking at the whole class but no one answered. Issei. Guys, if we go on like this, everything will be even more difficult in the future. I don't want you to keep your questions to yourselves. Just because I'm young, you shouldn't be ashamed to ask me anything. I have a question. Issei. Great, tell me what it is. Did they really start the war with just the death of that person? Issei. Partly, if that death was the trigger because some countries at that time were in conflict. And good question. Raising his thumb. At that, the bell rang and everyone left the classroom for recess. Issei went to the teacher's lounge with a bag of bread he had bought outside, and when he arrived he took a seat with a cup of tea. Issei. What a beautiful day. Letting out a sigh until he noticed someone come in the door. Issei. I misspoke the wrong words, I meant what a horrible day. Nikki. Someone wants to talk to you and you'd better go to tea, it will be worse. Issei. If I go you'll stop bothering me. Nikki. Yes. Issei. So what are we doing here then, let's not waste time. Going to the exit. At that, they both walked a bit until they reached the club of the occult, and as they did so they saw three people there, one being Sirs X and Graphia and the other Sir Awful. They upon seeing him noticed that he didn't give off any power. Issei. It is impolite to spy on people and well you want to. Sirs X. It's easy to scare you because you threaten my sister. Issei hearing that just took a seat on the sofa. Issei. That's easy and it's because your dog and the Sona didn't stop bothering you. Sirs X. You have the nerve to say all that in front of my face. Issei. What can I tell you, I don't like lying too much, that's bad. Sir Awful. Hi to Issei, a boy raised by his grandmother until he was 10 years old since she passed away, and then he went to study in the United States, but some time later he had an accident and was in a coma for several days. He was one of the youngest students to graduate from high school and the youngest person to graduate from a top university. Issei. Great. It was to be seen from the magical girl, she knows everything. Sir Awful. But that's just your life in the human world, in the supernatural is another story. Issei. Really, I didn't know about that, please tell me. Taking out a juice from her bag and a loaf of bread since she had taken them with her. Sir Awful. According to our contacts we have back in Texas 5 years ago, hundreds of renegade demons died in the worst way there is. I even felt sorry to see those corpses. Issei. That's an interesting horror story. Sirs X. Stop acting so childish. Issei. Wait, but that's my attitude, what can I say? Besides, how would I do all that if I lived far away from there? Serafal. In many places the same thing happened, but there were never any clues to her killer. You are our prime suspect since you know so much about the supernatural. Issei. You know, I feel like I'm in a detective series asking myself these questions. Sona. Stop acting like that. Takashi. You have no escape from here anymore. Issei leaned back on the sofa and crossed his legs. Issei. You can't do anything to me since you have no proof, and if you did, don't tell me that you will take revenge just because I killed your demons even if they were evil. Sirs X. That's not the point here. The point is that you were going to hurt my. Issei. Don't bother Siskin, it's serious, you're going to fight just because your useless sister was scared to see me, you're kidding right? Sirs X. You have a lot of nerve to call me that. If you know so much about me you should know who I am and what I'm capable of. Issei. Of course I know Sirs X Gremory, a super demon who has completely mastered his power of destruction, making him very powerful, and in that state, you are one of the strongest demons in the world, along with his friend Ajuka. Besides, you are married to your queen Grafia Lucifuge. She being the most out of the underworld queen. Let's see what I missed. Putting his hand on his chin. Issei. Oh yes. Also that they have a son named Milikas, but I know other things that it is better not to comment here, because it would be very bad for you, right? Serafal. For now we won't do anything against you. Issei. That's the way to talk. That's why I like you even though you're a Siskin too. Serafal. It doesn't matter, it's the truth. Issei. You see, she accepts it, not like you. But well, it's late now, it's time to go home. Serafal. One question. Issei. Go ahead. Serafal. Why do you wear that on your eyes? Issei. The answer is easy and it's for style. Saying goodbye and leaving the room. Leaving a big silence since they didn't find out anything about him in the end. Issei walked towards the exit of the academy. Issei. I'm surprised they managed to find those bodies. Although it wasn't partly my fault, it was theirs since they provoked me. Since at that time Issei was barely controlling his powers, and that time they made him angry and he lost control easily, causing him to kill anyone in his path. Issei just continued on his way as if nothing. Then he went to several places he hadn't been to since he liked to try new things, and then it got dark and he was walking home. Someone who could amuse us for a moment. How are we going to torture him? Seeing Issei in the distance, they saw that he entered an alley and they were about to go until they felt a hand on their heads. Issei. It's been years since I've come across a fallen person, and here I have two in front of me. How did you get here? We don't feel your magic. Issei. It's just that I walk faster than usual. So what kind of torture were you going to do to me? Forming a smile on his face that the fallen did not like at all. They were about to say something, but Issei jumped up and took the two of them away from the place. Arriving to a forest. Issei. So what are the fallen doing in demon territory? Because we would have to tell you. Creating a spear of light, but out of nowhere the fallen lost his arm. And when he looked down he noticed it on the ground. How did you do that? Issei. I don't know what you're talking about, I've been standing here all this time without doing anything. Your friend maybe it was. Stop talking nonsense and tell us who you are. Issei. Fine, I'll say it. I am your father. Both fallen ones were annoyed to hear that. Issei for his part just laughed when he said that. Issei. I'm sorry but I had to say it, and leaving the jokes aside, well, I am your executioner. One was about to say something, but Issei was in front of him with a smile and pulled his head off with ease. Issei. If you tell me what you are doing here you can leave. Yes, sir. Getting on his knees as he was very scared. The Kabiel Sama sent us to look for information about the Gremory and Citrierises. Issei. My friend, you have it hard, good for you. Unfortunately they are my students and like any good teacher I have to take care of my students, so goodbye. The fallen one was about to answer, but Issei cut his head off. Issei. Who the hell is that guy? I'll have to look for information again, this will be boring. Walking home. It was a day without classes and Issei for his part decided to go to his old home as he liked to remember his best moments with the most important person in his life. After a few hours of travel he arrived at his destination and started walking around the small town and decided to go to the market where he used to help his grandmother. When he arrived many people greeted him as well as him since they were people who helped him a lot in his time. He walked a little until he reached the place where he used to sell with his grandmother. Issei. Excuse me, but why this bridge is empty is strange at this time of the day. Since Chika passed away nobody occupied this place. Issei. I understand but you should use it otherwise it will eventually get ruined and she wouldn't like that. Don't worry, I will pay for the repairs of the place and let someone else use it. Don't bother with it it's fine like that. Issei. It's nothing. It's to say thank you for the time I was here. I still remember that kid who would come running and then start yelling, but at first it was funny because you didn't pronounce the R right. Issei. Ha 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 but it wasn't a long time and for me those memories are the best. At that Issei took out his wallet and gave Ichiki to the person and he accepted it after that Issei went to his old house. He walked for a few minutes and when he got there he looked at it for a moment because he liked it and when he entered he noticed a lot of dust and some very old things. He walked for a while until he reached the place where he had the picture of his grandfather and grandmother and looked at them for a moment. Issei. Now they are both happy. He took both pictures and put them in the backpack he had since he wanted to take some things with him. At the end of the hunt he left and went to the cemetery, but not before going to a flower shop to buy some flowers. Once she had them she took the road and when she arrived she put them in the lapida and took a seat. Issei. Grandmother there is a lot to tell and I will start with one thing. Your daughter is really annoying, she looks like a flea to do it ha 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 and her children came out the same way. Whenever I come across them they always say a lot of nonsense. Being a teacher is a funny thing more when they make scary faces some students. He began to tell her everything that had happened at the academy with a big smile and after a while he got up and said goodbye to his grandmother and went home. He could run away at high speed but Issei prefers a leisurely walk. Arriving in Cow City he walked through the park until he unfortunately ran into 4 people. He pretended not to see them and continued on his way and when he passed by them one grabbed him by the shoulder. Garu. That's how you greet your family, you lack manners. Issei removed Garu's hand from his shoulder and turned around. Issei. Sir, you have the wrong person, as you can see we don't have any resemblance for you to say that we are family. You have that poopy hair color and I have a hair color like snow. The 4 hearing that got upset but didn't act as they didn't want to cause a scandal in public. Mickey. Stop acting so childish. Issei. That's me, it's not my fault, besides, you guys won't stop bothering me, you abandoned me once, it doesn't cost you anything a second time. You come to bother me when I'm an adult because you didn't go when I was a child or when I was alone, but instead you went on your trip all over Europe indulging those clones. Garu. How do you know about that? Issei. I have friends. You think I wasted my time in America since I was curious to know who my parents were I asked a friend to investigate them and well all they did was travel. Takashi. Jealous. Issei. Not at all, how could I be jealous of a family as boring as yours? Ricky. Well we have us and we also have very powerful friends. I am also the bearer of the Dragon Emperor Drake, a celestial dragon capable of killing gods. You for your part could only dream of it since you are nothing. Issei. Child, don't let this idea go to the clouds because sooner or later you will fall, and that fall will not be as smooth as you think, it will hurt you to know what reality is like. The gods only have that title, but in the end they are too weak to fight. You better leave you had had a beautiful day, but just looking at your faces is ruining it. Garu. If you know about us you should know that we won't leave you any of our fortune. Issei. And who needs your filthy money? I already have mine and maybe it can be more than yours. Turning around and starting to walk. Not paying any attention to his claims. The next day Issei returned to the academy to give his classes as usual and it was a quiet day. They passed the classes without any problem until the end of his day. He stayed a little longer at the academy to fill out some papers and finally took his jacket and left the academy until he heard a scandal in the occult club. Issei had very developed his senses and being curious he went to the place and when he arrived he climbed the tree that was there to see. And he noticed a blonde guy arguing with Ricky until he saw how Razor hit him and Ricky was embedded in the wall. Issei for his part just laughed at that and got down from the tree and started to run at a high speed and got to a store and bought a drink and some snacks and then went back to the place because he wanted to continue watching. Minutes passed and Issei watched as the 2 groups argued and he just kept eating while watching everything with amusement. Later, Razor called his entire entourage to show Riaz that he is stronger than hers. She was about to say something, but someone else spoke up. Rafia. It's rude to listen to private conversations. Turning around and looking at Issei who for his part just took a sip of his drink and then just gave her a smile. Issei. That was good talk, you shouldn't have said anything. Riaz. Like how long has he been here? At that Issei entered the room through the window. Issei. Since they threw your dog into the wall it was fun. Give me 5 boy. Raising his hand but Razor just glared at him. Issei. Well if you don't want to just say so don't make that face. Razor. Why don't we kill this scum? Ricky. I agree with the Akatori, no one will miss him. Issei. They should say that with a calmer face, not with those big smiles. But it won't be possible since here the strongest queen won't allow it. Putting her hand on Graphia's shoulder, most of them saw that and opened their eyes like saucers, since no one has the courage to do that. She on the other hand remained calm. Graphia. Please remove your hand from my shoulder. Issei. If you say it like that it's okay. See, that's how you treat someone, not like you who say all that. But well, I'm going, I already had my fun. Razor. From here only your ashes will go since you're going to die. Issei. You kill me, ha 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 ha. Most of the people looked at Issei weird because of what he said. Issei. It's like an ant wanting to challenge a giant. Let's say that's how our difference is, well maybe it's more, but I don't have any more ideas. Razor. How dare you say that to me, the great Razor Phoenix, heir of the Phoenix clan. Issei. I say it, the great Haidu Issei, heir of my apartment Haidu. He said it with a big smile. Razor. I'm going to kill you. Going against Issei and wanting to hit him, but Issei for his part didn't even move from there, and when Razor was about to hit him, Issei just evaded the blow and kicked him in the abdomen, knocking the air out of him. Issei. Don't act so hasty or this will happen. Razor. Damn you. Graphia. That's enough. Don't get into trouble, Razor-sama, and you young Haidu don't cause trouble. Issei. I what? Yeah, that one chicken, you can tell you support your race, but it's normal. Razor. How do you think she will be on the side of a human, you're crazy, ha 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 ha. Issei. Yeah, whatever. Well, I'm off. Razor. And who said you're leaving? Issei. And come on, don't you get bored of humiliating yourself. Razor. I'll tell you what, you scum, and you fight against me, I'll cancel the contract with Rias. Issei. I don't care if you marry her. Do I look like I'm interested in her to fight for her? She's my student, but I wouldn't go that far for such nonsense. Razor. I see if that's the way you want it. Maybe you want money since being a human is what you want the most. But you should know that if I win I will kill you right then and there. Issei. Well, if that's so. Turning around and looking at all of Razor's group of girls and forming a smile. Issei. When I get home I get a little tired and I don't feel like cooking, so I want a maid, more specifically I want your sister. Leaving many surprised by what he said as well as Ravel. Issei just smiled when he saw their faces. Everyone was surprised to hear what he said. Issei was about to say something, but Razor beat him to it. Razor. It's okay. Issei erased his smile and for the first time became serious. Issei. Don't you care about your family? Razor. In the end I will win and I don't lose anything. Issei. I see, at the beginning I said it as a joke thinking that you wouldn't accept, but in the end you accepted very easily. You disappoint me, I thought you cared, but well, so be it. Tell me, Graphia, when can we meet? Graphia. I'll have to talk it over with Sir Zack-sama. Issei. I see, then I'll leave, and when you have everything ready you tell my student. And with that said she went to the door and left the place to go home. All the others didn't know what to say except for Razor, who only went with his group to the underworld. Graphia returned to give her report to Sir Zex, while Rias and his group did not know what would happen next. The next day Issei was teaching as usual until recess came. Rias. Sensei, the meeting will be in a week. Issei. I see, then I'll see you at the place. Rias. But you don't even know where it will be. Issei. It's not like that in the underworld. Rias. That's right. Issei. I told you so, but I'd better go, I'm hungry. Leaving the classroom and going to where the other teachers were. Arriving, he heated up his food and took a seat. Issei thoughts. I hope that girl can cook, I haven't had a hot meal in a while. As he ate. The days went by where Issei only concentrated on giving his classes without taking him importance about the encounter, and when the day arrived he was at home lying down until he remembered the fight and that he got up suddenly and left the house heading to the underworld. Meanwhile the others were in the room waiting for Issei to arrive. There were several nobles and Razor's parents. As well as the four mas, since they were curious about Issei's power. Half an hour passed and several of them were annoyed by such a thing, and Razor for his part only had a smile on his face since he thought Issei had escaped. Sir X was about to say something until Issei opened the door. Issei. Sorry for the delay, I got lost on the path of life. While scratching the back of his head. Razor. You've got some nerve to keep them waiting. Issei. Hey, I'm sorry, I forgot there was a fight today. But how about we get this started? Sir X. Since you both are ready I'll tell you what you bet. If Razor Phoenix wins he will have the right to kill Haidu Issei, but if he wins he will take Razor's bishop, being Ravel Phoenix. Several people were surprised when they heard this, especially their parents. After that both of them were teleported to a fighting place for the fight to begin. Issei stretched a little. Issei. I'll give you 10 seconds since I really don't feel like fighting today. Razor. Hahaha, you're the one who won't last that long. At that moment the fight started and Razor created a big fireball that he threw quickly against Issei, and Issei just looked at him. When the great fireball hit Issei, a great curtain of smoke was created. Several nobles only laughed as they thought he was afraid. The mass just let out a sigh as they thought it was no big deal. Razor was just laughing at what happened and was about to say something when Issei grabbed him by the shoulder. Issei. That wasn't bad at all. Razor turned around quickly and wanted to hit Issei, but he was faster and sent Razor flying, destroying everything in his path and leaving Razor embedded in a wall. Several people were shocked when they saw that because they didn't even see when he moved. Issei began to walk towards Razor and he came out of the rubble and went against Issei, throwing several fireballs and then wanting to hit him with his fists, but Issei evaded everything without any difficulty. With each attack he created a large amount of smoke and many could not see what was happening until the attack stopped and the smoke dispersed. Everyone was surprised to see Issei sitting on Razor's sword. Issei. You are easily guided by your emotions, so you won't get very far, chicken. Razor, when he heard the last thing, got angrier and got up as he could since he felt a great pressure, and when he got up he went against Issei. Issei. Look at the time, I exceeded the time limit. He approached Razor and hit him with his finger on his forehead. Everyone saw that and thought he was crazy, but seconds later Razor fell to the ground unconscious. Issei just looked to the side and greeted everyone. Issei. Thanks for seeing me, see you. He teleported out of the place as he didn't want to see anyone. All the others didn't know what to say as they saw how Issei defeated a high class without any difficulty. Issei went home and went to sleep because he was sleepy. The next day Issei was watching a movie until someone knocked on his door and he thought it was strange since he had not asked for anything. He got up and went to open the door and was surprised to see someone there. Issei. And you are? Ravel. I am Ravel Phoenix and by obligation I come to fulfill your deal. Issei. I see, but I was just kidding, you can go home. Ravel. I won't leave because if I don't, my family's name will go away. Issei. I understand, it's a big deal, then go inside. She nodded and went into the apartment. Ravel. It's too small, my clothes is bigger. Issei. Better not, so you won't take so long to clean up. Ravel. I won't do anything like that. Issei. Wait then, why did you come here if you're not going to do anything? Ravel. Just to show my face. Issei. I'm in big trouble now that I think about it. Tell me, why do you know how to cook? Ravel. Why, I should know if I'm a noble lady, I have servants for that. At that Issei falls to his knees on the floor. Issei. No way. I'll have to take care of a girl who doesn't know how to do anything. We're going to starve to death. Ravel. I'll get some maids. Issei. Of course not. If you're hungry you'll have to cook on your own and you'll also have to do everything by yourself so you're not lazy all day. Ravel. And why should I listen to you? Issei. Easy, little phoenix. 1 is because I live here and I'm in charge, and 2 is because I say so. Ravel. You couldn't think of any better options. Issei. Not for now. Well, now leaving the subject, you will have to go study too. Ravel. I don't want to and you don't send me. Issei. I don't like that spoiled girl attitude, it's time for you to be polite. Approaching Ravel, she for her part was a little startled to see Issei's smile. She was about to say something until Issei grabbed her and took her to the sofa, and he took a seat and then grabbed her and laid her on his lap face down. Ravel. What the F? She didn't finish as she felt a pain in her ass. Since Issei had spanked her. Issei. You will listen to me. Ravel. No. Just saying that she got another one and she just screamed from the pain. Issei kept asking while she refused. Minutes passed until Ravel finally agreed. Issei. It wasn't that hard, was it? Ravel. I'll tell my parents. Issei. Tell them, maybe they will thank me for doing that. So tell me you will go to study. He wanted to refuse, but seeing Issei's smile he just nodded quickly. Issei. I'm glad, go to the room on the right, that will be your room, and I hope you keep it clean. She got up and with a serious face left the place. Issei just let out a sigh and took a seat again and continued watching the movie. It was night and Ravel came out of his room and saw Issei still on the sofa. Issei. Something's wrong. Ravel. Of course, it's late and it's time for dinner. Issei. There's the fridge, go get something and cook it. Ravel. I can't do that. Issei. Then what are you going to do? I can tell they didn't give you any money, did they? He didn't answer and went to the kitchen. Issei just laughed a little and went on with his work, which was preparing the next day's class. Minutes later she smelled a burning smell and got up from her seat and saw a big mess in the kitchen. Issei. What the hell happened here? It's like a tornado has passed. Ravel. I don't know and I don't care. Issei. Clean everything up and then I'll show you something, okay? Ravel better pay attention since she didn't want to suffer again. Issei just nodded and went back to his business. Later she called him and everything was ready. Issei. Well, it wasn't bad. Look Ravel, life is difficult and it's not good to always depend on someone else, in the future you will have to live alone. Ravel. Even if I lived alone I would have maids. Issei. Maybe, but let's put a scenario. Let's say you are out of the country and you are sent to a place to solve a situation, but in that instant you are attacked and you run and at the same time you attack after several minutes of doing it and having lost them and at the same time you also lost, what would you do? Ravel. I could teleport. Issei. It's a good solution, but by doing that you would draw the attention of your enemies and they would know where you would go because you would leave a trail. The only solution left to you would be to walk since flying would be impossible and they would quickly find you. Then tell me how you are going to survive in that time if you don't know how to do anything since you depend on a servant. Ravel did not know what to answer since Issei was right. He smiled and put his hand on her shoulder. Issei. Ravel, I will help you with the common things and maybe I will train you a little so you can defend yourself in the future. Ravel. I see, I hope you are happy to train a member of the Phoenix clan. Issei. First drop that tsundere attitude, it won't get you anywhere, and then act normal when you're with me. Ravel. Good and thank you. Issei. That's the way I like it, and well, get some vegetables out of the fridge and I'll teach you from the basics. She nodded and went to where she was sent. Later, with all the ingredients ready, Issei gave her a knife and showed her how to hold it and how to cut the vegetables. An hour later they were both at the table with their plate ready. Issei saw Ravel and nodded for him to try his own food. He smiled as he did so, as he liked the way it turned out. Issei. It's good, isn't it? That's the result of finishing something you made yourself. Ravel. It was obvious it would look like this if I did it. Issei. We talked about it minutes ago Ravel, this is going to be difficult. Taking his fork and starting to eat. Ravel. May I ask you a question, Issei-sama? Issei. Sure, but leave that about the sama. Ravel. No. Issei. I noticed that I won't make it that easy, but maybe later, yes, and well, what do you want? Ravel. How does he see if he has that blindfold on his eyes? Besides, I've seen him reading as if it's nothing as he does it. Issei. I can see, but I use this on my eyes because my eyes are very sensitive to light. But thanks to that I developed my other senses better. Ravel. I understand. How did you defeat my Oni-sama since I don't feel any kind of power in you? Issei. Who knows, maybe it could have been luck. The problem with your brother is that he lets his emotions guide him easily and just uses the same abilities. Ravel. But they are very powerful. Issei. That's your problem, you think they are too strong and that's why you stop training them. You know, even the weakest ability can be the most powerful if one pushes it to its limit. You demons can form very easily. Ravel. I see. How come you know so much about demons? Issei. I am a history teacher and my duty as a teacher is to know about everything. When they finished saying that, they continued eating dinner and then they both went to the kitchen while one was washing the dishes and the other was drying them. Later Ravel went to rest since he had a long day. Issei continued with his work of preparing the class. The next day Issei left early and to not be so bad he left a breakfast for Ravel and a note for him to go and register at the academy. Issei arrived at his destination and walked a bit through the halls while some students greeted him. When he arrived at his classroom he gave a big smile and greeted everyone. Issei. Well guys, it's a new day, who is ready to learn? Raising his fist but received no response. Issei. You guys are no fun at all. But well, it's time for your test. Ikeno. Wait, you didn't say anything about that. Issei. Oh yes. Sona. Oh yes, he didn't say anything in the previous class. Issei. Well, it's a pop quiz. I wish them luck. Passing by each seat and giving a sheet of paper to each one, and at the end she returns to her seat. Issei. Don't cheat, I'll know if you do. The student said nothing and began the test. Meanwhile Issei was leaning back in his chair. Issei thoughts. What will those two exorcists I saw in the morning want? I better not even get into that so I avoid more trouble with these two heiresses, since whenever there is one, if it's not one it's the other that gets into one. Letting out a sigh, he picked up a book and began to read it. Minutes later everyone had finished their test. Issei. They didn't do badly at all. You can tell they're paying attention. Changing the subject, as you know, it won't be long before the parents come to see how their beloved children work. And they had better behave themselves. You should behave yourself since you are always talking nonsense. Issei. Hey, respect your teacher, that's not the way to talk. Sensei, but he is right, he is always joking about something. Issei. Yes, as you say, but I just wanted to report that. I hope your families will come. turning around and starting to write on the blackboard. Later the classes ended and Issei was on his way home until he saw Sona and Tsubaki going with both exorcists to the occult club. Curious as he was, Issei decided to go too, as he wanted to know what was going on, even though he had an idea. He climbed the tree one last time and leaned back to be a little more comfortable. Issei. Like I said, more trouble. Pulling out a chocolate bar so he wouldn't get bored listening to all that. Issei only listened to the necessary of the conversation of the two heiresses and the exorcists and then left as he got bored and hungry. When he got home he heard the TV on, so he went to the living room and saw Ravel laughing at a movie. Issei. What a way to pass the time. Ravel. I've never had the chance to watch these movies and series before. Issei. I can tell, and tell me you went to the academy. Ravel. Yes, but I'm going to start after the vacation since they will be starting soon. Issei. I see, and don't tell me you'll be watching TV all day. Ravel. There is nothing better to do. Issei. Yes there is, and that is to clean this place is dirty. Ravel. That's not my job. Issei. We had already discussed it, Ravel. I'm in charge of the food and you're in charge of the cleaning. Do you want to starve to death? Ravel wanted to answer, but nothing came to his mind, so he opted to turn off the TV and start with the office. Issei, seeing that, just smiled and went to the room to leave his things and then to the bathroom to take a shower. A few minutes later he went to the kitchen to make dinner. Issei. Ravel, during these days don't leave the house, it's okay. Ravel. Why? Issei. Your two friends Riaz and Sona are going to get into big trouble with a cadre. Ravel. And you will do something. Issei. Why I would have to? Ravel. Because if you tell me that, it's because you will do something. Issei. I'm saying it for your safety only. And it's not my duty to protect brats who get into trouble every time. I can only protect them if I'm on duty. Ravel. You don't care if they die. Issei. Honestly, no. Ravel was surprised when he heard that and saw Issei's face, and he was calm. Ravel. Why? Issei. Everyone should solve their own problems and they decided to get into them. Besides, that red dragon what's his name is in their group, maybe he can do something just like his clone. Ravel. Why doesn't he help the others if he is very strong? Issei. Ravel, I'm not a hero, I'm just an ordinary human who might get a little angry when he's bothered. Besides, if I help someone else then he will ask for more help and so on. I'm just going to go on with my life as usual and do what my grandmother said. Ravel. What did she tell you? Issei. To have a good life and other things. You should do the same and just worry about you and no one else, maybe your family, well if they deserve it. Ravel. And you have no family to protect. Issei. My only family member died 10 years ago, so I'm alone. Ravel. I'm sorry. Issei. It's okay, it doesn't matter. Besides, it's in the past now, just think about the future. Besides, go set the table, I'm almost done. Ravel didn't say anything else and took out the dishes to bring them to the table. Minutes later they were both eating dinner while talking about trivial things. Ravel wanted to know what kind of training Issei did, but he just smiled and never told her. At the end they washed the dishes and went to their rooms. Issei was leaning against the window as he felt the night breeze. Issei. Wow, there are a lot of fallen people around here. But I don't feel like going out, besides tomorrow will be a long day. Closing the window and going to bed to sleep. The next day Issei returned to the academy and saw Sona next to Tsubaki at the entrance. Issei. Good morning students. Sona. Good morning sensei. Issei. They didn't do badly in their tests, I didn't expect less from the president and the vice president. Sona. It was obvious. Issei. Well, I marked. Sona. Wait, I have to tell you about too. She didn't finish as Issei held out his hand for her to stop. Issei. It's not my problem, Citri, and leave me out of it. Returning her way with a smile to her classroom as she waved to other students. Leaving both Ritied speechless. Minutes later the classes started and Issei handed in her tests and then started the class being quiet as usual. At recess she went for a walk to digest the food and on the way she ran into a group. Ricky. Hey you. Issei. I respect you, brat, remember I am your superior. Ricky. Yes, as you say. Why did you refuse to help Sona? Issei. And what do you care what I do alive? Riaz. Your duty as a teacher is to support your students. Issei. You said as a teacher, not as a babysitter. Do I always have to save their asses? Akeno. You haven't saved anyone. Issei. You won the rating game against Razor because he was traumatized by his defeat, wasn't it? Riaz. We won with our own effort. Issei. Yeah right, tell yourself that every night until you believe it. If it wasn't for me you'd be in a corner crying right now. Ricky. Hey, don't talk to my wife. Issei. I'd better go anyway, I have things to do. And I wish you luck with the cadre. Rias. How do you know about that? Issei. I'm not stupid like you, I keep myself informed. Lying since I hear him in his meeting. When he finished saying that he left the place since he did not like to talk to them. At the end of his day he resumed his way home until he felt some presences not far from there. Letting out a sigh he went to the place where there were some fallen ones with some renegade demons. Issei. Hey, let's finish this quickly, I have things to do like grading the kids' homework. He said it out loud, drawing the attention of everyone present. Seeing Issei, everyone laughed as they didn't notice any power on him. Issei for her part also laughed a little until she raised her hand and then a single finger, and he formed a red sphere. Issei. Bye guys. Dropping the sphere to the ground, and just by making contact it caused a huge explosion, destroying a radius of 5 kilometers, drawing the attention of both Arises and Kakabiel by the tremendous power released. Issei saw a lot of destruction around him. Issei. I think I went too far. I better go before someone arrives. He took a big jump to go home. Seconds later both Arises arrived and were shocked by the destruction caused. Tsubaki. Kaicho, this is not normal, what kind of spell did you use to create such destruction? Sona. I don't know, but we have to find out first, but not before calling the mass. Rias. I would refuse, but with this cadre it's better to leave this job to them and we'll take care of the rest. Sona. Fine, I'll call my sister and you call Sir Zaksama. Rias nodded and left with his group, as did Sona. While in the distance there was a fallen with a big smile. Issei, when arriving home, went to the living room where Ravel had a surprised face. Issei. What's wrong with you? Ravel. Not recently, I felt a monster power, didn't you? Issei. Actually I didn't fall asleep on the bus. I'm going to take a bath. Leaving the room while Ravel just went about his business. It had been 2 days since Issei had destroyed a part of a forest where no one knew who it was. Issei was walking home after another day of classes. Not far from there he heard swords clashing. Letting out a sigh he went to the place since they were causing a commotion and could get someone in. When he arrived he noticed one of the clones and Kiba and Kaneko together with the 2 exorcists. Issei just watched until after a few minutes the fallen angels left the place and they went to look for them. Issei walked towards the place of the fight. And he looked down as he saw a girl lying on the ground. Issei. They care more about the fight than their partner. He crouched down and took the girl in his arms, and at that he jumped so as not to attract the attention of the people. It didn't take him that long to get to his apartment. Ravel heard the door open and was surprised to see Issei bringing a girl as a sack of potatoes. Issei. You already have a new friend. Ravel. Please stop joking and tell me who she is. Issei. No idea, I found her on the floor and I brought her here. Ravel. You don't think about the consequences. Issei. Maybe, but I'll take her to her bed and you bring me a piece of cloth, I think she wants to get a fever. Also bring me some alcohol. Wait, now that I think about it, you are a phoenix, better give me a tear, it will be faster. Ravel. Why should I do it? Besides she felt a slight sacral power in her, she's an enemy. Issei. Or do you want to pay rent and food since you don't pay anything? Ravel just frowned at her, but seconds later she calmed down and took out a franc from a pocket size. Issei. I like that you are obedient. Ravel. It will only be this once. They're not as cheap as you think. Issei. As you say. Passing by her and going to her room where he laid her on the bed and gave her the tear that healed all her wounds. Issei took a book and started reading it to wait for her to wake up, while Ravel decided to prepare tea for both of them. Minutes later Ravel arrived and gave her the tea, which Issei took happily, and then she went to the living room to continue watching her series. An hour later Issei could hear some moaning, and it was from the girl who was waking up. Issei closed the book and waited for her to wake up completely. She opened her eyes and looked to the side and saw Issei with his hand raised. Issei. Hello. What is your name? Irina. Shidu Irina, and who are you? Issei. Hi to Issei, and tell me what happened to you to end up in such a state. Irina, when she heard that, she saw some parts of her body and noticed that she didn't have any wounds. Issei. I have a friend who gave you something, so don't worry about it. Irina. They took my sword and my partner went to defeat the demons together. Issei. I see, that's too bad, and tell me, don't you care that they left you stranded? Irina. The mission is more important since our god trusts us. Issei. Well, don't you know anything, girl? Irina. What a thing. Issei. I'd better not say anything, I don't want to see you cry right now. So what are you going to do? Irina. I have to go with the others to help, the cadre will attack soon. Issei. The fight started not long ago, if you hurry you'll get there in time to help. Irina. And why don't you help? Issei. It's not my problem. Irina. But if you do, God may reward you even if you are a demon. Issei. Wait, I'm not a demon and I don't want anything at first. But to show you that I'm a good person, I'll take you there. Taking her like a sack of potatoes again and leaving the room and looking to the side where he saw Ravel at the table eating a heavy cake. Issei. We are leaving. Taking her too. Ravel. WH. What? Where are we going? Issei didn't answer and left the apartment jumping towards the academy where both girls just screamed. Issei just had a smile on her face hearing that. Minutes later they arrived at their destination where they saw the barrier. Issei. Well, it's your turn, Shidu, I wish you luck. Taking Ravel and leaving without letting Arena answer. Issei entered from the other side to watch the fight. Issei. I hope you can learn something from here, Ravel, that's why I brought you here. Ravel. And you won't do anything to help. Issei. Little Phoenix, he is only one with those dogs and your friends are many, it would be a shame for them to lose. Ravel. You will see that they will win. Issei. You want to bet? Ravel. I refuse. Being you, I have a feeling I could win and I don't know what I would ask for. Issei. You're no fun, little Phoenix. Ravel. Stop calling me that. Issei. I'm just telling it like it is and well, let's see what you are capable of. Crossing their legs and watching how the fight was going. The minutes passed where the Gremory team had a hard time since they couldn't handle the dogs and the Citri group was keeping the barrier. But Takashi was helping Rias. Issei for his part was laughing a little when he saw how badly they were doing. Issei. I told you so. Ravel. You are bad. Issei. Being bad makes me very happy. Ravel. He said it in a serious way. Issei. Of course not, I just wanted to say it. Besides, if they can't, the boy up there can defeat that bird. Ravel, when he heard that, he looked up and concentrated to search until he saw white armor. Ravel. How long has it been there? Issei. I would say since the fight started. Ravel. And what is it doing here? Issei. Don't ask me, I'm not a fortune teller, and tell me, I bet he wants to make an epic entrance, do you accept? Ravel. For the second time I refuse, I don't want to lose. Outing Issei pouted as she grabbed her cheeks. Issei. You look very pretty doing that. Ravel. Don't touch me. She said it with her face all red with embarrassment. Issei left her and continued watching the fight where he noticed how the cadre formed a smile on his face. Issei. He will say it, this will be fun. Having a smile on his face. At that instant Kakebiel revealed the death of God and Issei could see how Rina together with her companion and a nun fell to their knees and then two of the three fainted. Issei did not miss the opportunity and took a picture of Ravel since she was surprised by such news. Issei. It was excellent. Ravel. You knew it. Issei. Of course I did and I don't care. Ravel. Which side do you support, good or evil, since you don't care about anything? Issei. Nobody is perfect, little, everyone has their dark side, even an angel, because you think they fall. Besides, I am half and half. Sometimes I am good and sometimes I am a crazy murderer. Ravel. And you say it just like that. Issei. It is better that you know it from me and not from someone else. I'll tell you one thing, Ravel. Ravel. Yes. Issei. When you learn about my past you will be traumatized. Giving Ravel a smile causing him to shiver. Several minutes passed where Issei and Ravel were still watching the fight and the demons were tired because they had little magic. Ravel. Issei-sama, go help them, they can't do it anymore. Issei. I'm not in working hours, I can only help them when there are classes. Ravel. Don't you care if they die? Issei. They got themselves into this problem and they should get out of it. That's what they get for not asking their siblings Siscones for help, that's what happens when their pride is bigger. If not, tell your brother what he thinks. Ravel said nothing and stood up and was about to go to help, but Issei took her by the hand. Ravel. Let me go. Issei. Wait, he's coming. She was about to say something, but at that moment the barrier broke and a white armor entered. Issei. Well, the fun is over, we better go. Ravel couldn't answer as Issei took her like a sack of potatoes and left the place. Minutes later Vali was taking Kakebiel to Grigori. Albion. Vali, you felt it. Vali. What a thing. Albion. There were two more people there, one was a demon, but the other one I don't know what his aura was, it was very strange. Vali. I didn't feel anything. Albion. Maybe it's my imagination, let's leave that topic. Vali said nothing and continued. The days went by and the parents' meeting arrived and Issei went with a big smile to his classroom. Issei. Hi guys, today is going to be a great day, don't you think? Sensei, don't go say anything bad please. Issei. That depends on how you behave. Besides, it's a special day, your parents are coming today. Sona. It's good that no one from my family is coming. She said it in whispers, but Issei could hear her clearly and smiled as she had sent a letter to Seraphil about the meeting. Hours passed and the parents began to arrive, entering directly into the hall. The senior parents to see Issei, as they did not believe their children. Issei greeted everyone until he saw family. Issei. Nice to meet you, Gremory family. Sirs X. Same here. He said it with a smile, but inside he was still upset about how he treated his sister. The parents only greeted seriously since they had informed him about him. Issei could sense their hostility but didn't take it seriously and started his class. He asked several questions, which most of the students answered. Issei. I'm glad you paid attention to my class. At that, one of the parents raised his hand. Excuse me, sensei, but why do you wear that blindfold on your eyes? Issei. My eyes are sensitive to light and I was recommended to wear it. With time I got used to it. My son informed me that you cause a lot of trouble, but I see that he was wrong. You are a good person. Issei. Thank you very much for the compliment, and well, I thought I got along well with all my students. It is sad to hear that. I'm going to get better so they will accept me. Several parents just smiled hearing that since they could trust him. Issei smiled back, but his students felt a chill as they had a feeling they were going to have a bad time. Classes continued until they ended and Issei went for a walk until he heard a lot of noise and decided to go to the place and was surprised to see Seraphil posing for some pictures. Issei also took out her phone and took some pictures until the student council arrived and dispersed all the students. Sona. Ni-sama, what are you doing here? Seraphil. Someone informed me that there was a meeting and tell me why you didn't tell me, that makes me sad. Sona quickly spotted Issei and he for his part was just whistling. Sona. That only makes me more guilty. Issei. Well, it was me, but I have a good reason. Sona. And that would be. Issei. I like your sister's show too. Taking out a piece of paper and giving it to Seraphil. Issei. Can I have your autograph? Seraphil happily took the paper and signed it. Issei, having it, started running around with joy. Issei. Thank you, and with that done I'm leaving. Seraphil. No problem. Issei left the gym because he didn't want to stay there any longer. Sona. What do you know about him? Seraphil. Nothing yet, there is no information about him, just the usual that he was a good student. Seconds later the Gremory family arrived and continued talking. Hours passed and Issei was in his room reading until he felt many auras. Issei. It's strange that the leaders of these factions are together. This will be interesting. Leaving the book on the table and going out the window as he wanted to see what was going on. Meanwhile at the academy, each leader of the three factions were there. On the part of the angels were Michael and Irina. For the fallen angels were Azazel and Vali, and finally the demons who were Seraphil, Sirs X and Graphia, and the two Sakitos. Michael. After so many years we are all together at last. Azazel. It's about time. Sirs X. It's time to stop these conflicts, many of our people died because of a fight centuries ago. Michael. I know. But one of your people, Azazel, caused a lot of damage. Azazel. I kept an eye on him, but he knew how to escape, and well, the rest you know. Sirs X. Thanks to Riaz and Sona it didn't happen. You can play the video. Riaz nodded and went to the front, showing the fight from the beginning. Minutes passed and they were watching everything until Azazel stopped Riaz. Azazel. Wait, go back a little bit and zoom in a little bit. Riaz just nodded and did as he asked, and in doing so he was surprised, as were some of the others. Sona. That's Ravel and the sensei. Ricky. Besides, that idiot knew he was being recorded since he's waving. Azazel. It's that bastard. Sirs X. You know him. He said it in surprise as he saw Azazel upset, and that was rare for him. Michael. You know who he is. Azazel. Of course I know him, he is responsible for what happened to a group of my men. Someone was about to speak until they heard a voice, and they all looked for its source and were surprised to see Issei sitting in a chair with a soda. Issei. It was a good movie, you know. And it's a surprise to see the two Siscones, the lazy crow and the angel, with a silly grin. Azazel. You fucker. Issei. Who are you? I don't remember you. Azazel. 6 years ago you killed 1,000 of my men in Massachusetts, you had no mercy on them. Everyone upon hearing that was in shock at such a revelation. Issei. I don't really remember that, could you refresh my memory? Azazel. Don't play stupid. Pulling out a hologram and putting up a picture where Issei was seen with his body full of blood, even his white hair had turned red. And more so seeing him with a big smile on his face. Issei. Oh, I remembered, I won't lie, that day I got a little out of control. Seraphil. And you say that so calmly, don't you have a heart? Issei. Ha 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 ha. Azazel. What are you laughing at? Issei. For nothing, you know what your soldiers did. Azazel. Nothing bad. Issei. Of course, that same day your soldiers, as kind as you say, took 5 of my classmates, and well, you can imagine the other thing. Besides, one of those girls was my best friend, and when I found her I couldn't control myself and well, the result is obvious, isn't it? I was saying it calmly. Michael. Who are you really? Issei. The executioner of the supernatural. Everyone had their eyes wide open at such a statement. Issei, not hearing any noise for a few seconds, started to laugh. Michael. What's so funny? Issei. They really believed it, ha 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 ha, it was good to say it, they would have seen their faces, I should have brought my camera. Michael. Please don't talk like that, the consequences could be catastrophic. Issei. But you can be sure of one thing. Serafal. And that would be. Issei. Anyone who gets into my life will not come out alive, I don't care if they are supernatural or human. Sirs X. Even your own race doesn't matter to you. Issei. Nobody is perfect Siskin, and what if he is of the same race as me, so there are renegade demons. Sirs X better not say anything. Ollie. I don't see what the fuss is about, I don't think he's strong, he'd be dead with just one hit from me. Azazel. Don't underestimate him, Volley. That guy is strong. Spreading his wings, and everyone was surprised to see how one of his wings was split in half and another burned. Michael. What did he do to you? Azazel. When I arrived he attacked me out of nowhere and I didn't have much time to defend myself. Issei. I think you were wrong about one thing, Crow, and that is that you attacked me first. But let's drop the subject and it's time for fun. Someone was about to say something, but at that moment time stopped freezing most of them. Issei, for his part, from the backpack he was carrying, took out a soda and some candy to see what was going to happen. Some were going to say something, but then the wall exploded where they could see a woman. Serafal. Kateria. Kateria. I heard about a meeting and I came to see you, fake mass. No one deserves that title, but you, Serafal. Serafal. Things don't have to be like this. Kateria was about to say something, but she looked to the side and noticed Issei. At first she didn't recognize him, but after a few seconds she opened her eyes like saucers as she remembered him. She was about to say something, but Issei put his finger on her mouth telling her to be silent. Kateria just dropped a drop of sweat as she wasn't stupid to try to fight him. Issei. Go on with your thing, I won't get into anything, luck. Kateria, hearing that, let out a sigh and was about to attack, but Azazel beat her to it. Bali had left some time ago to fight against the mages. Riaz. Ani-sama, send me to the club please to save my servants. Sirs X just nodded and made an exchange of pieces since Riaz had left a rook in her club and she left with her pawn Ricky. Issei put her things away and got up to watch the fights. Issei. Hello, Grafia. Grafia. Can I offer you something, sir? Issei. Don't act so serious with me. Grafia. Why would I have to act friendly with you if I barely know you? Issei. Great friendships start like that. How about we start a friendship, how about that? Grafia. Why I would have to be friends with you? Issei. Because. Grafia. You'd better get out of here. Issei. You're difficult, but I really like that part of you. Grafia. Don't talk to me like that, don't you know the consequences? Issei. Haha, not at all. But it doesn't matter, I'll go watch the fights. Issei went back to his seat, leaving Grafia a little annoyed at how he spoke to her. Issei, for his part, took out his treats again and went on with his business. The fight continued where Azazel lost his arm in order to kill Kateria, but not before saying something to Azazel. Kateria. You better not make that guy angry, he's very dangerous. Kateria. What do you know about him? Kateria just smiled and used her last skill and died in the attempt. Azazel heard that and kept thinking, but at that moment someone hit him. Azazel. I expected this from you. Ollie. This side is more fun. Azazel. Are you doing all this to get back what belongs to you? Serafal. What do you mean? Ollie just smiled under his helmet and was about to answer, but someone beat him to it. Issei. It's easy because he is Volley Lucifer and well you know what that means. Well, he ate a candy. Many were surprised to hear that, and Volley was upset because they ruined his moment, but he managed to control himself. Ollie. Don't you think destiny is cruel, Ricky? Ricky. What do you mean? Issei. That's P. Ollie. Stop meddling where you're not wanted. Issei. Sorry. Ollie. What I? Issei. It's because he thinks he's a miracle, and you're just a human with sacred gear, ha 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 ha, I said it before. Ollie, this time he got annoyed and went to attack Issei, but at that moment Ricky intercepted him. Ricky. Your fight is with me and not with that useless guy. Ollie just smiled when he heard that and left Issei aside, and both started to fight. Arena. Issei-san, aren't you afraid of him, he is someone strong. Issei. Little angel, how can I be afraid of such an arrogant being like that? Arena. How does he know I'm an angel? Issei. You don't hide your aura very well, you're not used to it, are you? Arena. Why he calls me small, I am big. raising her chest with pride. Issei. Whatever you say, little girl. Irina just pouted when she heard that. Issei. Leaving that aside, you know the clones. Irina. They are my childhood friends. I met them when they were studying in Italy, but in a few years they left and I came to find them here. Issei. I see. Irina. You really did all that. Issei, hearing that, just gave her a smile and approached her, standing face to face. Issei. There are things it's better not to know. If you don't want to fall. Irina. What did he do? Issei. Something you know as sins. It's better that you remember me as I am, not as I was before. Irina was about to answer, but then she heard how Ricky fell to the ground and her armor disappeared. Ollie. What a disappointment. Our battle was supposed to be epic and you come out with such nonsense. What a disappointment. Kakashi. Shut up, damn, you don't talk to him like that. Ollie. Another weakling. From the way I researched, you Issei are brother to both of them. Some who didn't know that were surprised by the news. Issei. Unfortunately, but there are things that can't be changed, but leaving that aside, what are you getting at? And it better not be nonsense. Ollie. Don't you want to kill them for leaving you alone for so many years? Issei. You're seriously going to give me that cheap joke about revenge? Go to the point. I have to teach tomorrow, you know. Ollie. As stupid as it looks. The person who took care of you didn't know how to do it right, since you're so childish, or was she that dumb too? Issei. You want to make me angry by telling me those things, but for your bad joke it doesn't work. I am not easily guided by words, not like two stupid dragons and their current carriers. Ollie. I would have liked to see your only familiar die. Issei, upon hearing, started to laugh, but not a normal laugh, but one that caused a shiver in some of those present. Issei. If you want to die, just say so. Disappearing from the place. Everyone saw how he moved from his place and started to look everywhere. Issei. I hope you're having fun. Bali, when he heard that voice so close, was about to turn around, but he couldn't as he received a blow on his back that sent him crashing into the academy. Issei fell to the ground as he did so. Issei. I expected more from a brat named Lucifer, but dreaming is not a bad thing. Turning around to leave, but at that moment he heard some debris moving, and volley came out of the place at a high speed, hitting Issei in the face and another one in the ribs, and then he cast a fire spell to finish him off. Ollie. Don't be so arrogant, human misery. In the end you're just a weak ant. I don't know why they underestimate you so much. Starting to walk away. Issei. Haven't they taught you to check if your opponent is dead? Volley turned around and saw Issei just standing there. Ollie. How is it possible that you should be dead, but you don't have a scratch on you? Issei. In simple terms, you didn't touch me. Ollie. Don't be an idiot, I could feel my fist touching your body. Issei. What you touched was the infinity that exists between you and me. Ollie. What stupidity are you talking about? Issei. I'll show you how, about you come over here. And hold out your hand, don't worry, I won't do anything to you. Ollie started to walk towards Issei because even if he didn't admit it, he was curious. The others present wanted to see what was going to happen. When Volley arrived, he reached out his hand and was about to touch Issei, but when he was reaching out there was an invisible wall surprising Volley and the rest. Issei. See. You don't actually stop, you just slow down the closer you get. And well, you will. We might even hold hands. Holding Volley's hand several times, he for his part was surprised by what was happening, as were some of the people present, since you don't feel that he uses magic. Volley noticed that he got upset and was about to attack Issei, but he beat him to the punch in the stomach, causing his armor to break, and Volley spit a lot of blood from the blow. The blood he spat out didn't even touch Issei. Issei. Still missing. Since he had Volley by the hand, he gave him several more blows, causing the armor to be destroyed in the process. At the end, Issei let go, and Volley fell to the ground, spitting a lot of blood. Albion. Volley, you have many broken bones, it's better to leave here. Ollie. I won't leave until I kill this human. Albion. You are in a critical state. Ollie. That doesn't matter, at last a good fight. Forming a smile and getting up and activating the armor again. Ollie. Hi to Issei, I underestimated you, but you're not getting out of here. Spreading his wings and going to the sky and extending his hand and starting to cut everything in half. Azazel. This is serious, if this keeps up it will end badly. Issei. How boring. Let's get this over with. But first. Taking a step backwards, moving at a high speed, everyone started to look for him in various places but nothing. Seconds later, Issei returned with someone in his hands. Ravel. Issei-sama, what am I doing here? How did we get here so fast? Issei. I just want you to see. Ravel didn't understand what was going on and looked around and was surprised to see the leaders present. Issei. Well, try to see what's going on right now, okay? Ravel didn't understand what was going on and just nodded. Ollie. Maybe you're afraid and you brought a shield. Issei. Ha 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 ha. Bali. What are you laughing at, you bastard? Issei. After all, you're very weak. Bali hearing those words got even angrier. Ravel looked to the side and noticed how everything started to shrink. Issei. You'll be fine, but don't leave my side. Raising his hand to where he had his bandage and taking it off. Everyone present noticed that and looked at Issei, and when he took it off completely they were surprised. By such a unique color he had. Issei. Domain expansion. Infinite void. Crossing their fingers and where to all present they could see many things around them to the only one was a forest and then the stars, and each time it was understood more and more. But no one could move from their place. They could neither see anything nor feel anything. Bali, who was lost in his thought, someone pulled him out of them. Issei. They are inside the infinite. Perception and transmission. You're forced to realize what is essential to live an infinite number of times. How ironic, isn't it? When everything is offered to you but you are not able to do anything. Except die in peace. But it is not yet your time to die, that will be in the future, but don't worry, for sure that you Vali Lucifer will die in my hands, so during your short period of life start to train a little to amuse me, or use the few days you have to amuse yourself. But you will not leave here without any punishment. Raising a finger and where I create a black flame. He moved a little closer to Vali and took off his armor. Vali could only see Issei with a smile in front of him. Issei approached Vali's chest with a flame and started to trace a line on his chest. His face was still as usual, but inside Vali was screaming from the pain. Issei. You won't be able to take it off no matter what you use. Whenever you see that line, the first thing that will come to your little brain will be my face. Deactivating his domain, where Vali fell to the ground as he was in the air and began to scream from the pain as the wound was taking effect. Several were still at a loss for what they saw. At that moment someone else arrived and was surprised to see Vali like that. He said nothing and took him in his arms and left the place. Issei. And tell me, little phoenix, what you understood from what I showed you. Ravel. I don't know. It's hard to explain. I saw so many things, but I didn't understand it completely. Issei. I see, that's what happens when you watch too much TV, it doesn't let you think. By then he had already put the blindfold back on. Azazel. What was that? Issei. Nothing important, well it's late, goodbye. Seraphil. Wait, I know it is selfish of me to say this, but in the future you could help us. Issei. I don't know, I have a full schedule for many years. Michael. But you will be an ally in the future. Issei. Neither ally nor enemy. I am a babysitter to get you out of your problems. You are the leaders yourselves, you should solve all this, but instead you send someone to solve your problems, like your stupid smile. You sent 2 girls to fight against a crazy crow. Are you stupid? And to make matters worse you gave them the swords he needed. In the end they are creatures that think more about other things than the innocent. Azazel. That means you will defend the humans. Issei. I don't know if you're stupid or if you've been doing it for a while, I'm not defending anyone. Maybe this little phoenix, since well at least you do the cleaning and make a good tea. Sirs X. But she belongs to my faction. Issei. Yes, I know. But she is my servant, so now she is my property and I take care of mine, not like you who don't care what happens to your soldiers. Well, leaving everything clear, I left. Giving a smile and jumping up and leaving the place. Those present did not know what to say when they heard all that. Issei arrived home next to Ravel and was about to go to sleep until Ravel stopped him. Ravel. Why you won't help? Issei. I said it over there, I'm not your babysitter. Ravel. But in that war many people would die. Issei. Then I have to die so that they can be at home in peace. Ravel. I didn't mean that. Issei. Then explain yourself. Ravel. Well, you are very powerful and you could help. Issei. You know, little phoenix, if I help them even once more, then they will ask for more help and eventually they will get used to asking for it. You are strong too, but you didn't do anything in the past, or did you? Ravel. Issei. Don't lie to yourself. You think I was born this strong, but nothing is easy in life. You think I didn't restrain myself from killing that idiot and everyone there. But I didn't because it would get me into more trouble and I don't feel like killing so many. Ravel. You say those words very easily. To kill someone. Issei started to walk, being close to her and stood at her height. Issei. I'll tell you something, little phoenix. The first battle I had in my life was not so nice to say. I was walking in an abandoned place until suddenly I was surrounded by many people. At first I didn't know they were renegade demons. One of them approached me with a big smile, but I moved away and then I tried to escape, but nothing. When they were about to die I let out my hatred and well kill everyone there. Ravel. But they were bad. Issei. What I'm getting at is if I don't like them, provoke me or else they will know the consequences. We all have a bad side, and mine is not very nice to say the least. Getting up and going to his room. Issei. If you want to help others go, but you'll find that they'll always want more. Closing the door of the room, leaving Ravel alone. The next day Issei returned to the academy as usual with a big smile on his face as he greeted everyone he came across. Issei. Well, class, who is ready for vacation? Raising his fist to the sky, but no one answered him. Issei. I noticed that you are happy, too bad, and I wasn't going to leave you homework, but since you are so boring I will leave you something to make you happy. Taking a book out of his suitcase. Issei. Let's see. Reading the book to give them homework. Issei. Okay, I want a 30-page essay on the Cold War, just that. Sensei, are you out of your mind? That's impossible to achieve. Issei. Since when are young people so rude? Now that I remember, many of you spoke ill of me to your parents. Forming a smile on his face that no one liked. Issei. You know I don't really like revenge, but I have no choice. I also want a 30-page World War I one. At that the majority stood up to complain since it was impossible to do. Issei. You wanted it that way, now take the consequences. And before you go on vacation you will take a little test, and I wish you luck. Passing by each seat and giving them a sheet of paper. The classes passed normally until they ended. Issei was walking through the halls until he ran into someone. Issei. You should know that animals are forbidden in the academy. Azazel. What a stupid thing to say. Issei. Crows are forbidden. Azazel. You're lucky we're in a public place or else. Issei. Buddy, before you speak think better. If you couldn't handle me when I was a kid, you can't handle me today. Like I said to your former students, idiot cocky ass. After all, you are very weak. Giving him a smile. Azazel. Don't think you're such a big deal. Issei. Yeah, whatever you say, but I have to go, there's a lot to do. Soon the vacations will start and I have a lot of places to see. Leaving the place while whistling. Azazel. I have to look for information about that guy so I can control him in the future. Leaving the club of the occult. Issei left the academy while thinking about where to go. Issei. There are many places to see, but time is also very short. I would like to leave Japan, but with so little time it's no use. Well, it doesn't matter, but there are also festivals during the vacations, I've never been to one before. Going home with a great joy. When he arrived he saw Clean and just nodded as Ravel was complying. He went to the living room and saw her with a suitcase. Issei. Where are you going? Ravel. To my house here, it's already summer vacation, and I imagine you must have things to do. Besides, I want to see my family. I'll be back when school starts. Issei. I see. Have a good trip. She just nodded and activated a magic circle to leave. Issei went to his room and took out a small suitcase to leave as well. Issei. Okinawa has beautiful beaches. Wait for me, I'll be there soon. Leaving the building and going to the parking lot where there was a motorcycle. Issei. I could fly or fly, but this is an adventure, and what better than a motorcycle? We'll have lots of adventures, buddy. Heading on and starting and leaving the place at a great speed. The days went by where both teams were training to become stronger, and the leaders were looking for information about Issei or his abilities so they could stop him in the future. Ravel also decided to train in order to be able to help his colleagues in the academy in the future. Issei was lying in the sun while drinking pineapple juice. Issei. What a beautiful place to relax. At that, two guys passed by and noticed Issei with the bandages and wanted to play a joke on him where they were approaching Issei and wanted to put something in his drink. Issei. Do it and you will know the consequences. Both of them, hearing Issei's voice, got scared and took a few steps backwards, falling into the pool. Issei noticed that and laughed and got up and went to another place. In the evening he decided to leave again as he wanted to see new places, and while traveling, he passed by a small town where there was a party. Without thinking twice he stopped and went to see the surroundings. Where he took several pictures. Issei. I hope my students like the pictures. Going to more places and buying more things. It was already late, so first before going on she went to a small inn so she could rent a room, which to her luck, there was only one left. Issei went to her room and left her shopping and went out again to continue shopping. While walking he collided with a person, causing him to fall to the ground. Issei. I'm so sorry, let me help you. Extending his hand to help her. She took the hand where Issei helped her. As they stood face to face, Issei was surprised to see her. Issei. Wow, you look like someone I have seen. Really, like who? Issei. What's your name? My name is Suzaku Himejima. Issei was surprised to hear that last name. Issei. You are Keno Himejima's twin, you really look alike. Suzaku. You know my cousin. Issei. Yes, she is my student, I mistook you for her. But I didn't say anything because it would be impossible for her to be here. Suzaku. I haven't talked to her for years. Issei. I see, well I'm leaving, it's nice to meet you. Suzaku. Wait, what's your name? Issei. Oh that's right, I'm sorry. My name is Haidu Issei, nice to meet you. Turning around and wanting to leave, but Suzaku grabbed him by the arm. Issei. Something is wrong. Suzaku. Could you tell me about her please? Issei. And why don't you go to see her? Suzaku. Problems that happened with the family. Issei. I see, if that's the case I'd better go. Suzaku. You're very rude, you have no manners. Issei. It's not that, it's just that I have the feeling that if I listen to your story with her I will get into trouble. Suzaku. I see and I understand and sorry for the inconvenience. Issei. You know I don't know much about your cousin, the only thing I know is that she is dating someone named Ricky, the current bearer of the Welsh dragon. And that she is Reina of Ria's Gremory and that she is a bit of a sadist. Suzaku. I knew she was the queen of Gremory but not the other thing. And I don't believe the last one. Issei. That's the way it is. And why don't you go see her? Suzaku. The current clan leader hates her for being half full an angel. Issei. I see. But that's the way it is. Suzaku. You don't give a damn, do you? Issei. I won't lie to you, not the truth. Suzaku. Don't lie, I can tell you care about others. Issei. Nobody knows, but well, it was nice to meet you, Suzuka Himejima, have a nice evening. Without waiting for an answer she ran away so as not to continue with the talk. Suzaku on the other hand just let out a sigh at Issei's attitude. He had reached his motorcycle and was about to leave until he received a call. Issei. Hello aunt, long time no talk to you. Issei. How are you doing? Issei. Something's wrong aunt, I can't hear you, please don't lie to me. Just a little sick. It's nothing to worry about. Issei. How can I not if you are my only living family? Since a year after he arrived in the United States, the director called him to the address. Flashback. Issei walked through the halls of the school until he reached his destination and knocked on the door where he was let in. Issei. There's something wrong for you to call me director, I'm studying as much as I can. Principal. I know and it's nothing bad, someone wants to talk to you. Getting up from his seat and leaving the room seconds later the door opened and a woman about 28 years old entered. After that the director closed the door. Finally I can see you Issei. Issei. Excuse me, but who are you? I am your aunt and my name is Alicia Haidu. Issei was surprised to hear that because she didn't know that. Issei. But how is it possible that my grandmother never told me about you? Alicia. I know. Taking a seat next to Issei. Alicia. I've lived here for years. You know I had the same opportunity as you to come here to study, and when I was about to graduate I met my husband and in the end I stayed and I told my mother and she accepted. Issei. Why she didn't go to his funeral? Alicia. When she talked to me she asked me not to go. Looking down and trying not to cry. Issei. Why? Alicia. She asked me to stay here and take care of you, and I really want to apologize for not coming earlier, it's just that I felt bad about her death. Issei. It's okay, don't worry. Alicia. Why don't you get angry when you hear all this? Issei. You are my only family and how could you want me to hate my family? You know this day has been a very happy one since I found out I have family again. Alicia. My mom was right, you are a beautiful boy. Issei. Auntie, you know how my mom is? Alicia. Yes, tell me, you want to know about her. Issei. I just want to know what she's like. Issei. That's all. Alicia. I see and it's okay, believe it or not we are twins, so you should get an idea when you see me. Issei. I understand. I'll be in your care from now on, but can I ask you a favor? Alice. Anything you want. Issei. I can stay in the dormitory so I can concentrate more on studying and the library is nearby. Alicia. That's fine, but during the vacations you'll go with me, okay? There is so much to do. Issei just nodded and at that they both continued with the talk. End of flashback. Issei. And tell me what's going on please, you know you are not good at lying. Alicia. I know and well I called you to ask you a favor. Issei. Whatever you want. Alicia. You can come here, I'm really sick. Issei didn't know what to say because it was really bad news. Alicia. Issei. Issei. What's wrong aunt? Alice. I'll tell you when you come, but if you can. Issei. Of course I can, I'll be there in an hour or less. Alice. Don't exaggerate, I know how strong you are, but that's too little. Issei. See you aunt, don't worry. Hanging up the call and jumping up and starting to fly at a high speed. An hour later Issei landed in a courtyard of a big mansion, and without wasting time he entered the house and searched for his aunt's aura until he found her and entered the room where he saw her lying down. Alicia. I didn't think it would be so fast. Issei. I told you. Giving her a small smile and going to her taking a seat nearby. Issei. Tell me what you have. Alicia. A tumor in the brain in its last stage. Issei. I can help you destroy that, so don't worry. Alicia. I know what you are capable of, son, but don't really do it if you do. Issei. Because you are still very young, you have a long life ahead of you. Alicia. You know how bad I got when I lost your uncle, don't you? Issei. Yes I do, and I couldn't do much about it. Alicia. Don't blame yourself, in the end we both made it out alive. Issei. I was still weak, so I trained to protect you. Alice. And I thank you for that, but I want to go with him. Issei. What do you want me to do? You tell me. Yes. Alicia. I want you to take care of your cousin, promise me. Issei. Juliet, where is she? Alicia. She's asleep, I sent her to sleep. At first she didn't want to. Issei. Time to see her. Alicia. She was very attached to you, and she got upset when she found out you were going to Japan. Issei. I spoiled her a lot, ha 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 ha. Alice. You will take care of her. Issei. If that's what you want, I will do it with pleasure. Alicia. Thank you, and tell me if you could stay for a while. Issei. Sure, don't worry. Alicia sat down and closed her eyes as she was a little tired while Issei just sat there. The hours passed and then someone entered the room. And when she opened it completely, she was surprised to see someone there. Juliet. Issei Nai-san. Issei, hearing that voice, stood up with a smile and extended his arms to receive the hug since Juliet had run to him. Juliet. When did you arrive? Issei. Not long ago, and tell me, have you been good? Juliet. Yep. I missed you since you left. Issei. Yes, and I'm sorry for that. Juliet. It's okay. Issei. You look a lot like Uncle now, you even have his hair color. Juliet. Great, no. So we both look the same. Alicia. You'd be prettier if you had my color. Julieta. But I look good like this. I look just like Issei Nai-san. Issei and Alice just laughed a little when they heard that. A few minutes later a maid arrived with food for three since Alicia had requested it. After that Juliet asked Issei a lot of questions about what it was like where he lived. It had been a week since Issei had arrived in the United States again, and in that time he would only leave his aunt's room to take a bath and take Juliet for a walk, and then they would both return. Juliet was happy to be with her family again. At that moment they were both coming back from their walk until they saw an ambulance at the entrance. Issei quickly took Juliet in his hands and went to them. Issei. What happened? Maid. Young man, I'm sorry, she passed away a little while ago, they just told me. Issei didn't know what to say, but quickly came out of her shock when she heard Juliet's sobs. Juliet. Issei Nai-san. My Aka-chan. Issei. I'm so sorry. Removing the blindfold from her eyes as she was getting some tears. Juliet just hugged Issei and didn't want to let go. Issei. You could prepare everything. Maid. As I ordered. Issei left in the ambulance and with the girl in his hands, since she didn't want to let him go. Hours passed and Issei had Juliet in his arms asleep after so much crying, and more than the coroner arrived to tell him that he had everything ready. Issei just nodded and went back to the house to change. He quickly arrived home and went to Juliet's room to leave her asleep while he took a bath. When he finished he went to his aunt's room, and on the small table near the bed there was a USB that he took and put it on the TV. Alicia. My son Issei, if you see this, it's because I've already left. You know I'm not very good at goodbyes like you. Just take care of my beautiful daughter please. I know it will cost you a little, but I know you will make it. You're a great guy. I left my fortune in your name, and when you see that Juliet is ready you will know what to do. Although I know you already have your own money, I hope this will help you. I wish you both luck in your adventure and please protect her. At that the video ended. Issei for his part only had a half smile as he listened to everything she said. Issei. Aunt, of course I will protect her, don't worry. At that he got up, and just as he did he heard how Julieta was shouting his name, and without wasting time he went to her. Issei. Julieta, what's wrong? Juliet. Issei Nai-san, you won't leave me too, right? Crying on Issei's chest. Issei. Of course not. I'm going to protect you, I promised, Aunt. Juliet. I miss Ka-chan. Issei. Me too. Julieta, take a bath and try to sleep please. Juliet. It's okay, but you can go to sleep with me, I'm scared. Issei. Sure, don't worry. She got up and went to the bathroom. Later she went to bed and fell asleep, where Issei also stayed next to her. The next day dawned cloudy, and they both went to the funeral where several of Alice's friends went. Several wanted to see Juliet, but she did not get rid of Issei. Minutes passed and everyone was leaving the place. The last to leave were Issei and Julieta. Then they went to eat something at a restaurant. Issei. I promised Aunt that I would take care of you, and that's what I will do. Tell me if you want to come with me to Japan. Juliet. Wherever you go I will go to Issei Nai-san. Issei. I'll make some calls and we'll leave tomorrow, yes. Juliet just nodded and then they both started to eat. Later Issei took her to have fun to clear her mind, and at night she fell asleep because she was tired and Issei prepared her things. She made some phone calls so she could leave tomorrow. Issei also stayed in Juliet's room so he could be there when she needed him. Issei. You are my only family, Julieta. I will take care of you just like Aunt wanted. The next day they both left the mansion where Issei gave a good amount of money to the servants, and at the end of the day he left for the airport. Hours passed and both arrived at their destination. Juliet. Where shall we go first? Issei. Let's leave your things and then I'll give you a tour, how about it? Juliet. Great. They both took a cab where it didn't take long to get to their destination. Meanwhile in the underworld, a day before the peace agreement with the Nordic faction was taking place until the god Loki attacked and was locked up by Ajuka. Nowadays the Gremory group and Citri went to try to stop him together with Irina and the Valkyrie Roswis. Serafal. I am still against them going to fight Loki, he is very strong. Sirs X. You know they've been trying hard for a long time. They will do well. Serafal. And if we ask him for help? Michael. He will refuse. Auden. Who are you talking about? Sirs X. No one important. Azazel. He's just someone who causes a lot of trouble wherever he goes. Serafal. It's the only way. Auden. Help from anyone can help. Serafal. Well then I'll go find him. Azazel. He won't listen to you. Serafal. I can't lose anything by trying. Getting up from his seat and teleporting to the human world. Earlier she asked Ravel to tell her where he lives so she could find him faster. Issei and Juliet were in the apartment ready to leave, and when Issei opened the door, he was surprised to see someone there. Serafal. Hello. Issei. We didn't buy anything. Serafal. Don't play dumb, yes. I need your help please. Issei. I said at that time, you guys forget so fast. Serafal. Please. Juliet. Issei Nai-san, she needs your help. Do it, yes. Serafal. The girl is right, do it, yes. Issei. You know I'm only doing it for Juliet, if she wasn't here right now she'll close the door. Serafal. Then we leave but she prays with you. Issei. I told you I do it for her so obviously she will go. Serafal said nothing more and teleported them both to the underworld where they appeared in the room. Everyone seeing him was surprised as they thought he wasn't going to make it and were more surprised to see a girl there. Issei took no notice of anyone and saw Serafal. Issei. Well, what do you want? I have things to do. Serafal. Just try to stop the Norse god Loki for a while the hammer arrives so we can seal it. Issei covered Juliet's hates as he didn't want her to hear anymore. Issei. And if I better kill him it will be faster. Auden. No, that's impossible, even if he's bad, he's still my son. Issei. Fine, but I'll take his arm off, maybe he'll come to his senses and you'll accept that. Auden. No. Issei. It's better than dead, you'd better accept it. Auden. I said no. Getting up from his seat and releasing some of his aura to try to scare Issei, but when he saw him he noticed Issei calm. Issei. Look old man, I don't do anything for free and I don't want money. Do you want me to waste my time with that duck-haired idiot? Letting out a bit of his murderous intent where he scared several people as they felt he wasn't joking. Issei. I'll say it again. I will cut off one arm, I will take it, let's say, as my payment, and well, you accept. Auden just clenched his staff. Auden. Alright. Issei. I'm glad to hear that. Taking his hands off Juliet's ears and bending down to be at her level. Issei. I'm going to go solve something, but I'll be back soon, you'll stay with that girl, don't worry, she won't do anything to you. Juliet. You won't be long. You promised to take me to see several places. Issei. I'll be back in 10 minutes, maybe less. Juliet. Alright, take care of Issei Nai-san. He just nodded and brushed his hair and then got up and went to Serafal. Issei. You'd better take care of her, and if I notice anything when I come back no one will come out alive, okay? Serafal. It's okay. She said it with some fear, and at that Issei left the building while Juliet went to take a seat next to the leaders. Serafal took a seat next to Juliet so she could take care of her. Serafal. Tell me, Juliet-chan, what Issei is to you. Juliet. He's my cousin, but he's more like a brother and I've had a lot of fun with him. Serafal. I'm glad to hear that. Julieta. And what is Issei Nai-san to you? Serafal. Friends. Juliet. I see, I thought he was your partner since you look cute together. Azazel. Don't talk nonsense girl, only an idiot would love such a monster. Juliet. Don't say that to Issei Nai-san please. Sirs X. He's just telling the truth. Juliet. Don't talk like that. Sobbing as she didn't like to be talked about Issei like that. Seraphil noticing that got scared as she remembered what Issei told her. She quickly stood up and went to Azazel. Seraphil. Take back those words, or do you want to die today too? Azazel. I'm only telling the truth. Seraphil. Don't you know that children don't look up to their older siblings? And worst of all, we are talking about Issei. Azazel at that instant thought and remembered Issei's big smile when he defeated him in the past and got a chill. He quickly let go of Seraphil's grip and went to Juliet, who was on the verge of tears. Azazel. I'm sorry for what I said, I got the wrong person. Issei is great, you know. In the past he helped me a lot. Juliet. Really? Azazel. Yes. Juliet. I'm glad to hear that. At that both Azazel and Seraphil let out a sigh. Sirs X was about to say something, but Seraphil gave him a death glare that scared him. Meanwhile in the battle the group was doing very poorly as they had already used up the 3 phoenix tears they had been given. Issei had arrived some time ago, but he wanted to see the battle. At that in the distance he saw Volley's group where Issei formed a smile on his face and went to them. While the group was distracted by the fight at that Issei approached Volley. Issei. I found you Lucifer. Volley upon hearing that voice quickly turned around as well as his companions and some who had not seen him were surprised. Volley. But what are you doing here? Issei. I didn't tell you on that occasion I will be the one to end your life. Iku. So you left Volley in that state. Hiroka. Then you must be strong. Iku. That's interesting. Issei. Hey, what's wrong with her? She looks like she's in heat when she looks at me. Iku. She's always like that. Issei. Then the witch girl is like that too. Arthur. Don't compare my sister to her. Issei. I see. You know, it's interesting to meet a witch for the first time. Lefei. What do you want? Issei. You know we have something in common, I am a sorcerer. At that Lefei took a few steps forward. Lefei. Really, and what kind of magic do you know? Having stars in his eyes as he was interested in learning new spells. Issei noticed that and just smiled. Issei. I like you girl, what's your name? Lefei. My name is. She couldn't say anything because Arthur covered her mouth. Issei. You know it's rude to interfere in a conversation. Arthur. I'm going to kill you. Issei. Is it me or am I unlucky? You're the 3rd Siskin I meet. Arthur. Don't call me that idiot. Issei. Whatever you say, but it was a good talk, I have to go, I have to stop that idiot over there. It was a pleasure, which I hope to see you in the future. Issei jumped up and left the place. Arthur. You better not come back. Ollie. And I'll take care of that. They said it almost shouting because of how annoyed they both were. Issei for his part paid no attention to their shouts. He quickly arrived at the battle center and saw several of them badly wounded. Issei. How bad you guys look. If you are in such a state you won't be able to go to the academy. Tsubaki. What are you doing here? Issei. I don't know, maybe I was observing the weather and by chance I saw them. Looking to the side. Issei. It's the angel girl like this. Irina. You know it's not a good time to say such things. Issei. Whatever you say. Looking to the side again and seeing the 2 clones with many wounds, Issei without wasting time started laughing, pointing at both of them for their state. Issei. How pathetic. Kakashi. Stop talking nonsense. Issei didn't even pay attention to him as he looked to the sides again and saw the great dragon and Fenrir with his children. Issei put his hand on his jaw and caressed it a little. Issei. Juliet is going to need a pet so she won't get bored while I'm gone, you serve me dog. Fenrir when he heard how he was called got annoyed and went to attack Issei where he just stayed still. At that Fenrir opened his mouth ready to bite Issei, but he only extended his hand and Fenrir cut it off. Several people were shocked by such foolishness on Issei's part. Ricky. What an idiot, he just came to die. Issei. Well, he's not that weak. Regenerating the hand again leaving many surprised. Loki. Finish him, I have things to do. Issei. That's what I should say. Stretching his arms and at that Issei started to get lines on his body, but the others could only see it on his face. Issei took off the blindfold where everyone saw bloodshot eyes and Issei with a big smile. Issei. It's time for fun. As he jumped in front of the dragon, Issei created black and red fire in his hand and hit the dragon where it fell to the ground. Issei fell and went against Fenrir's son, who was in front of him. The wolf only went to attack, but Issei moved when he was about to attack him and cut his head with his hand. Fenrir saw that and got upset and went to attack. Issei. You better fight, dog, my cousin needs good protection. He hit Fenrir in the face and then kicked him. That sent him to the sky, and when he fell Issei grabbed him by the neck. Issei, you're still weak little dog, but that's more than enough. Throwing him aside and looking at Loki. Loki, I will kill you for hurting my children. Issei, come if you can. Loki, I am a god, you cannot defeat me. Issei, try, in the end you will not be able to do anything. Loki, I will take your heart and give it to my pets. Issei, if that's what you want, that's fine. Reaching his hand into his chest and pulling out his heart, leaving everyone in shock, even Loki, for what he did. Issei, Tomo, I don't need it. Loki, you're a sick fuck. Issei, hearing that, dropped a heart and started walking towards Loki. Ollie, what the hell is he? Arthur, how are we going to kill him? Leffe, he said he was a sorcerer, he must know something. It's interesting, I must know more. Loki went on the attack, and when he was about to hit Issei, he moved quickly. Seconds later, Loki started to scream from the pain as Issei had ripped his arm off. Issei, how weak you are, and you call yourself a god. As he walked, and everyone noticed that he no longer had the hole in his chest. Issei, what a pathetic god, you just wasted my time. Putting the blindfold on his eyes and making the lines on his face disappear. Issei, besides, those brats are even more pitiful for not being able to beat you, and they were more. While Issei had his foot on Loki's sword. Issei, hey Vali, you better leave that dog because he is mine, and if you touch him you will get worse. He said it in a loud voice where many were surprised to know that he was there. Vali just clicked his tongue and saw Arthur, where he just nodded, and the group entered the dimensional gap. Seconds later, the hammer arrived where Issei left Loki on the ground while he complained of pain. And he went to Fenrir. Issei, well, you are not a dog, I know you understand me, so transforming you into a smaller dog and without those horns is fine. Fenrir just growled at Issei, but he just gave him another blow. Issei, do it or you'll get worse. Fenrir just shrunk and took the form of a small wolf bench with blue. Issei grabbed him by the hair. Issei, well, I've done my job. See you at the academy, brats, and I look forward to the rehearsals. Changing and taking Loki's arm and leaving the place afterwards. Issei did not take so long to reach the building where the leaders were and kicked open the door, scaring some of the people present. Issei, sorry for the delay. Juliet, Issei, Nai-san. Going to him and giving him a hug. Juliet, you were late by 2 minutes. Issei, I know, and to apologize I brought you a present. Giving Fenrir to Juliet. When she saw him she quickly grabbed him and hugged him. Fenrir wanted to bite her, but when he saw Issei's face that idea went away. The leaders were surprised when they saw that, since they knew who was that wolf plus Odin. Odin, boy, you must know that it is a very dangerous creature. Issei, I only see a dog, and well, Juliet, what are you going to call it? Juliet, snow, since it is very white. Issei, I'm sure he will like it, but well, how about we go, there are things to do. Juliet, okay. Issei, but first tell me nothing bad happened here. Some people were scared when they heard that question, and others were sweating from fear. Juliet, nope. Miss Serafel is very kind, and you know she is a magical girl. Issei, yes I know, I'll show you her videos later. Juliet, great. Goodbye Serafel, it was nice to meet you. And at that, both Issei and Juliet left the building, and Issei took her to the human world. The leaders let out a sigh, but seconds later an arm fell on the table with a note. Odin, what does it say? Sirs X, do not disturb. Azazel, it was obvious. But I came up with a great idea. Sirs X, and that would be Azazel. For that boy to help us, all that's left is for someone to convince his cousin, and she'll do the rest. You can do it, can't you, Serafel? Serafel, do you think Issei is an idiot? He'll quickly figure out your plan. And I don't want to see him upset, and you know I hate it when kids get involved. Sirs X, but it's not a bad idea, you know. Serafel, well, don't mess with him, I don't want to know the consequences. Michael, if he wants to help us he will, but if he doesn't it's okay. We didn't depend on him before. Azazel, he has great abilities, and if we don't investigate them well, we won't be able to find his origin and then train new soldiers. Odin, I agree with him. Seconds later the group arrived. Sirs X, how did it go since we couldn't see their battle? Riaz, everything was going well until he arrived. He only got to strike the last blow, and then he left. Irina, don't tell lies, if it wasn't for Haidu-kun we would be dead right now. Roswis, she's right, she came at the right time. Azazel, you can show us the battle. Sona took a few steps forward and showed them a hologram where Issei arrived and started to fight. Several were surprised by his change when lines appeared on his face and eyes. But they were shocked when they saw how Issei removed his heart as if it was nothing. Sir's X. What kind of skills would he have to accomplish that? Azazel. It's interesting, if we research those abilities in the future we will be unstoppable. Ricky. That sounds really good. Auden. It's just a matter of getting close to him. Rafia. You can ask Ms. Ravel to investigate his life with him. Sir's X. Call her and tell her to come to my office tomorrow. Rafia. She will. Roswis. And if she gets angry what could happen? Serafol. The answer is easy, she'll kill us without a second thought. Sona. Ni-sama, don't exaggerate, I don't think I can handle so many at once. Serafol. I don't think so now that he's protecting a girl. Riaz. Who? Sir's X. He has a cousin about 10 years old and thanks to her he came to help. Takashi. I didn't know we had more family, I'm going to ask our parents. Sir's X. That's it, let's end the meeting and you guys go get some rest, you had a long day. They all nodded and left the room. Meanwhile Issei had already arrived at the house and changed clothes and quickly left the house. While Juliet carried Fenrir in her arms. Issei. Let him walk or he will get lazy. Julieta. It's just that he is very soft, but it's okay. Putting him on the ground, Fenrir stretched since he hadn't touched the ground since Juliet took him in her arms. Issei. I've already arranged the papers and you're going to study near where I work. Juliet. Great. So we can go together, right? Issei. Of course we are. Now it's just you and me. Julieta. Issei nice and we don't have a family anymore. Issei. It's just the two of us against everyone, well now Snow is family. Juliet. That's true. I'm going to miss Kachan's cooking and her jokes. Issei. Me too, but you know we just have to move on, she wouldn't like to see you sad. Juliet. Right, I'll stop thinking about it. Issei. That's the way I like it, and where do you want to go? Juliet. Wherever it is, as long as I go with you I don't care. Issei just smiled and took her hand and they walked. Days went by and they went to several places where Juliet was surprised by how nice they were. They also went to buy things for school. One day before Ravel arrived and was surprised to see Juliet there, but little by little they got along well. Issei. You're ready. Julieta. I'm a little nervous since I'm going to be new. Issei. I know you and I know you will make fast friends. Juliet. I'm going to try and you Ravel when Issei are ready. Ravel. Of course this is nothing. Issei. Don't believe her, she's so scared that she's shaking. Ravel. Don't believe her. Issei. Let's go. They both nodded and took their things and left the apartment. Ravel after a few minutes took another way to get there faster and Issei continued on his way to take Juliet. After several minutes they arrived at their destination. Issei. If something happens call me, it's okay. Juliet. Issei nice and don't worry I'll be fine and have a nice day. Giving her a hug and then going to her classroom. Issei started to walk to her destination without any problem, but when she arrived her smile was erased. Issei. The day was so nice, but suddenly it got dark. Mickey. Stop clowning around and I already found out that you have my sister's daughter. Issei. And what does that have to do with you, besides being an old woman, she is a gossip. Eru. How dare you talk to my wife like that? Issei. What do you want, I have classes to teach. Mickey. Give me the girl, we'll take better care of her. You're just a brat who doesn't know how to take care of a child. Issei. Ha 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 ha, don't talk nonsense, how do you think she'll go with you? My aunt left her in my care and I'll take care of her. Eru. The kids told us that you took her to the underworld, are you an idiot? Issei. Nothing will happen to her with me and if that's all, I'm leaving. At that Mickey took out a sheet of paper from his wallet and gave it to Issei. Issei. You're suing me. You know the consequences of this, don't you? Mickey. It's not only the child's welfare that matters. Issei. Yes, of course. It won't be for my aunt's fortune. But you know if this is what you want it's okay, but be aware of the consequences, because if there's one thing I hate it's losing, and I've never done it. Eru. We have the best lawyers in the world. Issei. Aha, as you say. This meeting will be in 10 days so I'll see you then. Passing by them on their way to class. Issei. I made a promise and I'm going to keep it, Juliet, I'll take care of her. Going a little serious to class. That's it guys. Thanks for watching and supporting us. See you in the next part.